How about that system last night?
Well, it's funny. I think we suffered a bad beat.
Did we suffer a bad beat in South Carolina?
During our show, it was 4.5, but I think it tipped at 3.5.
Ouch.
So it's the reverse of Indiana, Michigan.
Yeah. They were down so much, I was shocked when I saw they came back because they were getting clubbed early.
So it was like Arkansas, Alabama on Saturday. They were getting clubbed, and next thing you know, it was a one-possession game. And it was like, oh, it was nice of you guys to cover.
I'm listening to the Sports Center this morning. They had, because they're searching for stuff. They had a long quote or a long bit of sound from the Wake Forest coach on just how bad they were in the second half.
Oh, that's a devastating loss for them. At home to Florida State when you're a bubble team.
Gave up points on 12 of the last 15 possessions.
I mean,
power play didn't take long to score.
Oh my goodness.
It was even pretty on my phone at softball practice.
How about that pass? How about that pass? Golly. I mean, I love the guy. I think he's one of the 10 best to ever play, but there are times in which I think he's even better than I think. And the funny thing is he's still only the second best Penguin.
Right.
That's got to be disheartening. How good are you? Oh, I'm really good. Really? Yeah, probably one of the 10 best to ever play. Unfortunately, one of the others own the team. They have a statue of him.
Exactly, Ambient. It depends on when you bet it.
Yep. We have to go by 1-1 if we're consistent. We go by what it is at the tip. And it went down from during the show, it was 4.5, and by tip, it was 3.5. See, we gave it out to you guys. You bet it down, cost us. You guys got the win. We didn't.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Thursday. I hope your week is going well. We're going to take a big risk here because I am surrounded by hotel rooms, and I'll tell you where I am in a minute. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Yeah.
Like they let the air out of your tires when you did that, David.
Yeah, I know. I'm really worried. I got guys on both sides of me. They got the things on the door saying don't disturb. I got pillows propped up in front of me trying to soundproof where I'm broadcasting from in the room. I'm in Conway, Arkansas. Raise your hand if you know where that is. Exactly. To the phones we go. Conway, Arkansas. Hello. It's 30 miles north of Little Rock. It is right smack dab in the middle of the state. I could hear the noise echoing of John Cal and the Razorbacks winning last night by double digits against LSU as we were driving by. So I'm in town. Doing a little college basketball, little A-Sun action. Jacksonville and Central Arkansas. Then we'll be taking the bus to Florence, Alabama. Hello. Which is extreme northern Alabama for, get this, North Alabama and Jacksonville. But Jacksonville and North Alabama, 2 of the 4 teams tied for first in the A-Sun, along with FGCU and Lipscomb. So there. You know me, small conference basketball, Mark, those one-bid leagues. I love them.
Wow. Yeah, that's terrific. And our poll question today could be, have you ever heard of the A-Sun?
Or Conway, Arkansas.
Wow. Conway, Arkansas. Well, enjoy Arkansas.
Thank you.
The next day.
Thank you. Gas is cheap. Okay. Hotel rooms are cheap. It's very affordable to live here. All right. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Very affordable. University of Arkansas, Walmart money. Northwest corner of the state. Check it out sometime. Money goes a long way in Arkansas.
I've been to Arkansas. That's checked off the list. In my ECHL hockey broadcasting days, for a period of time, Little Rock had a team.
Oh, really?
Beautiful building. And I actually had no problem. You know, I liked Little Rock. We stayed there a couple of times, had no problem with liked the city. Seemed clean enough.
When Gary first made the move from ABC to CBS in the SEC, Arkansas and LSU would play the Friday after Thanksgiving, and they would alternate sites. And of course, LSU played at the same place every year, but Arkansas was still fulfilling a contract where they would play 1 game a year in Little Rock at the War Memorial Stadium. And, you know, it needed repairs. And by needed repairs, they set us up literally in the stands to broadcast the game on wooden planks. And what separated us from the crowd was a shower curtain. And not a pretty one either. Like, not a new one. Not like somebody ran out on the Friday, before, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and got us a new, colorful shower curtain. Not even a Razorback shower curtain. I mean, this thing was old, a little dirty. All right. Looked like it came from a dorm room gone awry. You know, guys who aren't going to get their deposits back on an off-campus apartment. And I know I've told the story before, but we're mid-second quarter of one of the best games we ever did, where there were 4 touchdowns scored on 5 plays. Remarkable. Punt return, kickoff return, bomb, 75-yard touchdown run. A remarkable sequence of events from 2 top 10 teams. And in the middle of the sequence, some guy pulls the shower curtain back and yells, "Hey, that's Vern Lundquist!" Yes, it is, sir. We need to ask you to leave. I'll be damned.
At least it wasn't the same type of security that is now working Dallas Maverick games.
No, I was the security. Katie and I, the floor manager, and me, we were the security. One of us is spraying the wasp nest in the corner, and the other one of us is asking the guy. By the way, Mark, he had big beers in both hands. I'll be damned, that's Vern Lundquist. Said, "Is, sir, how was your Thanksgiving?" You can't stay. Sorry, you can't stay. But they're a little sensitive in Dallas, aren't they?
A little? They traded their franchise player. Fans have been upset, protesting in front of the building. Fans have come in and yelled, "Fire Nico," who's the GM. They've had signs saying it. And now the sign police are measuring every sign that's in the building. I'm not sure what's derogatory about Fire Nico, but they are upholding the NBA fan code of conduct to the letter of the law, much to their demise, because it's not working. The fans are getting more and more upset, and the ownership and management are looking like children.
Would it have been a good idea if you and I were part of the front office and they're all bent out of shape about this, and you and I said, hey, why don't you do it differently? Why don't you hand out signs and markers? All regulation size, literally, hand them out. They've got the All-Star break coming up in 24 hours. Hand them out. Let them get it out of their system. They're upset. They should be upset. It shows that they care. Okay, it's better than them just staying home. It really is. I want them upset. I want them showing us they care this much. That's good.
It's the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas, and the fans are that upset. I mean, just think about that for a second. No matter how popular the Mavs may be, think about where they rank in the Dallas sports market. And the fans are PO'd. That shows you how much work Mark Cuban did with that franchise when he was still the primary owner to get that franchise to be as popular as it is there.
Well, you build a consistent winner, and pretty much for most of Cuban's tenure, they were. Went to a couple finals, won one. You know, even last year went to the finals for the third time. My question is, if you're in the Cowboys front office, do you turn and look one another and go, what if they ever turn their energy towards us? I mean, we've gone 30 years without making the conference finals. They've got a banner. They got a guy with a statue out front. They've gone to 3 finals in the last, 18 years. What if our fans turn on us? We got a lot more of them,
Right, and they are lapdogs because they believe Jerry and Dak when they say that they're. I mean, think about it. There was more national outrage over what Dak said than there was local outrage. That shows you just how in the tank the Dallas Cowboy fan base is for that team. They're like the collegiate team. They believe whatever they're told.
If you're the Mavs, can you say, hey, we get it. You're frustrated at the Cowboys, 30 years and not winning, but don't take it out on us. Can you say that out loud or no?
Yes. I think you can, and I think you should.
Say, listen, I get it. We knew this was not going to be popular. Okay, we wouldn't have done it if we really didn't think it was the best move to make, short term and long term. We'll see if we're right. And you'll let us know if we're right. The standings will let us know if we're right.
See, that would have been it's too late to take that approach because they spent 3 days trashing Luka, trashing him. And the fans all watched that same guy lead them to a final.
I mean, if you're Nico, and I'm being serious here, did you ever volunteer as part of a fundraiser to be the guy at the dunk tank, sitting on the thing and people throw, and then if they hit the, target, it releases you and you go into the water? Because I would do that. I had no problem with that. And I mean, I'm not kidding. If I'm Nico and the Mavs, I'd literally maybe one game say, tell you what, we're a dunk tank, and I'll go out and we'll donate money to a charity. I don't know, pick a cause. I don't know, donate money to the California fires or something closer to home. Whatever. If Dirk's got to have a charity, we'll devote it, Nowitzki's charity. And if I'm Nico, I'll say, I'll tell you what, I'll go sit on the thing you can throw. I don't know, set it up where if you make a free throw or something, or you hit a 3, boom, I go in the water. No, is that too?
Is this a high school fundraiser? It's an NBA team, David.
I know.
And you want the general manager to get in the dunk tank to smooth over relationships with fans?
Well,
are you serious?
Yeah, Mark, I'm trying to get their energy out. They're very angry. I'm trying to have some fun with this. I'm trying to get their energy out so that when we come back from the All-Star break, we could just be a normal team again.
Their fan base isn't in the mood for fun. This isn't kumbaya. Let's go to the fall festival and dunk the GM.
If I'm Nico, I get dressed up. I put Jera's hair on. I get dressed up as Jerry Jones. I sit in the dunk tank. I mean, no.
A dunk tank.
I just, Mark, I'm trying to have, Mark,
You
I
spent
started.
too much time on a bus yesterday, David.
Well, you got that right. Okay. And 2 flights. But, remember, I started the segment by saying I wanted to hand out signs and Sharpies. So, I mean, I am, it just, come on. There's serious stuff going on in the world. All right. We made a trade. We'll see if it works out. Take it easy there, big fella.
I think the fact that the fans are this hot is a good thing. I do. The Dolphins fan base isn't this hot.
No.
The Cowboys fan base isn't this hot.
No, and they both should be.
Exactly.
Yep.
See
Miller
if
and
they show
Moulton.
up in Miami.
I can't believe you didn't like the dunk tank idea. Man, I was proud of that. Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X, at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners. Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, I will say, ambient, Memphis has killed our system. The teams in the American have not been able to cover.
The teams in the American are awful.
Yeah. All right. I mean, Memphis has buried the system. And Nebraska's a slight favorite at home against Maryland, so we can't play that one. Well, Coffin Ball, Burrow's going to turn. He's going to give the Bengals back like $23 million in salary cap space, and he's going to get a check. And then it's what they do with that extra $23 million in cap space.
Oh my goodness! Did you see the end of this TCU Oklahoma State game?
No.
Down 2, throw it in from under their own basket. The ball gets tipped like about 3-point line, top of the key, comes to a TCU player. He just turns and fires it in. 73-72, game over.
Coffin Ball, most people think that with the money Burrow gives back to him, that they can figure out a way. See, they got 2 wide receivers in Hendrickson. Never mind the linebacker now who's wants out. I think they can keep 2 of the 3. I think they lose T. Higgins.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour on this Thursday morning. We hope your week is going well. I'm in Conway, Arkansas. Hello. At 30 miles north of Little Rock for a little college hoop action. Mark in the cozy confines of Southwest Florida. A little temperature difference between the two. And by little temperature difference, I mean around 30 degrees. You know, nothing big or anything.
I've heard that in other parts of the world, the temperature varies. I've heard that.
In fact, actually, right now, Mark, there's a 40-degree difference between where you are and where I am. It's 70 in the 239. It's 30 in Conway. When we checked in last night, it was low 40s. It's getting nippy. Huh.
Well, enjoy the cold and the brisk air. Maybe get a walk after the show. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you know me and exercise. It's the first thing on my list.
Right.
And if it's a choice between exercising or a nap, okay, you know me. I'll put the socks and sneakers on and head outside. That is for sure. So we're proud of our system. All right. We came up with it a few years ago. It has served us and you pretty well. It's like our 4th college basketball season where we've put forth the system, and it's made money every year. But I think last night, Mark, the overwhelming popularity of our show came back came back to bite us last night.
That's what I was thinking too, David.
Yep. I mean, we have so many people listening, buying into the system, that when we gave you our 2 system plays last night, Villanova at home against St. John's, you scoffed, you laughed, and we said, I'm telling you, they're a 1.5 underdog, which means they're going to win outright. And you all went, come on, you guys are high. Mark, what was the final of the Villanova St. John's game?
Well, that would be a Villanova victory, David, of course. Villanova able to hang on and beat the Johnnies with what, a late 3?
73-71, I believe.
Right.
So then we told you about our other system play, and that one you guys bought into. You were like, okay, I can put money behind this one. And we think so many of you did that you moved the line a point. Because during our show yesterday, when we said, listen, the system play says South Carolina at home getting 4.5 against Ole Miss. But we have been consistent and transparent. At the end of the day, Miller and Moulton go with the line at tip. And we're consistent about that. Like, there was a game on Saturday in which it benefited us. At one point in time, it looked like Indiana was only getting 3 against Michigan. And it turns out they ended up getting 1 point more than that, which was good because they lost by 3. And it was a cover for us. Well, last night we got burned. You all got South Carolina at 4.5 because we told you to play it. You played it so much, Miller and Moulton got South Carolina at 3.5.
South Carolina lost by 4. Valiant effort coming back from double digits, but it didn't do enough for Miller and Moulton.
So we're happy for you. We are. But that goes in the books as an L, and the system is now 2-4 this week. And we have a play tonight that we don't like at all because there has been one team that has thumbed their nose at the system all year, and that's Memphis. Memphis is destroying the AAC. They go on the road, and they win by double digits every time. And they're in Tampa tonight to face South Florida. And they're a 7.5-point favorite. And the system says take the Bulls. And we will. We are faithful to the system. But we are letting you know that Memphis has destroyed the system this year.
The one other thing that I've been a little bigger on than David, I've been trying to pull him in with me daily for a couple of weeks, is that the Four Nations whatever started last night.
Face off.
Oh, the Four Nations face off. That's a stupid name, by the way.
It really is. The Four Nations thing worked. They needed to finish stronger than that.
Cup. It's
Thank
hockey.
you.
The
Yeah.
Four Nations
Cup.
Cup.
Yeah, there you go. Tournament. Something. Spectacular. Dynamic kickoff. Something. Oh.
But last night, Canada and Sweden got the Four Nations face-off started. Canada got a power play 46 seconds into the game. We told you about their power play in a lineup. It took them all of 10 seconds to score.
Sidney Crosby with probably one of the 10 best passes of his career, which is saying a lot. A blind backhand pass out of the corner onto the stick of a sniper. Damn ridiculous.
But Sweden comes back. It was 3-1 after 2, and it looked like Canada was going to cruise. Sweden comes back in Montreal, where the game was played, forces overtime. Canada wins in overtime. It's Marner with the goal in OT, but it got off to a good start. If you watched it, you were entertained last night.
Well, and you know me, Mark, I love their point system. It's 3 points for a regulation win, 2 points for an overtime shootout win, 1 point for an overtime shootout loss, no points for a regulation loss. So Canada got 2 points and Sweden got 1, But the United States plays Finland tonight, and both teams are like, well, we can get a regulation win. We're in first place. And I think the NHL, there's two things that this tournament's doing differently. And considering the fact the NHL is running this tournament, don't you find that interesting? They're going with the different point system for this little 14 tournament. That's interesting. Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
Because you're only playing a small amount of, I'm not reading what you're reading into it.
Okay.
They're playing a small number of games, and it's easier to divide it up when you're only playing 2 games, basically, before you divide first from fourth.
All right. Fair enough. And they're doing a 10-minute overtime. They really don't want a shootout. And I guess there's talk of that, Mark, at the highest levels of the NHL, kind of like, this shootout might be a little too gimmicky.
Really? And you play 3-on-3 overtime. Let me explain something to you, NHL. I spent 20 years working in minor league hockey as a broadcaster and a front office executive. Fans, the ones who pay for every single part of your sport. You are more dependent upon the fans than any other sport in North America, and it ain't close, kids.
71% of the NHL's revenue comes from paying customers.
The fans like the shootout. They really do. I don't know if they like your gimmicky 3-on-3 overtime. I don't know many fans that do, but hockey fans love the damn shootout. I'm not a shootout guy. Fans love it. Love it.
So they're doing two things differently in this tournament, which is being run by the NHL. A different point system for wins and losses and overtime shootout wins and losses than the regular season, and really trying to discourage the shootout. They figure with this much skill in the tournament, if they double the overtime, we will get a game-winning goal in those 10 minutes, and we will not be reduced to a shootout. Canada over Sweden in overtime. U.S. in action tonight.
USA, USA, USA.
Oh,
Pretty good show lined up for you. We'll talk some Daytona 500. John Forslund to talk some hockey. But when we come back, it's what we do. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Is snoring bothering your spouse? Would you like to sleep in the same bed again? Do you know that snoring can affect your sleep cycle and cause lower testosterone levels? At Sleep Treatment Direct, we have easy solutions. We have a simple laser procedure that can improve snoring in 10 minutes. If you would like to get back in the same bed or are looking for a natural way to treat low testosterone, give us a call at 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Or go to sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Do you want to do that Four Nations poll question today, or do you want to do something else?
I say we do it. USA Finland tonight. Four Nations face. What was it? Face off. What are they named that again? Yep, Four Nations face off. Hello, Jake Husden. So, DC, you think the game should just end in a tie? Now, do you feel that way about regular season hockey or just the tournament hockey there? I think it is ambient. Finland's the worst team in the tournament. We're supposed to be the best. Now, I would not have laid the 1.5 with Canada, though, even though they blew a 3-1 lead. Sweden plays a lot of close, low-scoring games internationally. I wouldn't have laid a 1.5. Adam, you know how much I love Hall of Fame discussions, but if I go the Rock Hall of Fame, I send Mark down a.
I've already got it up. I've already got it up on my screen. Don't even get me started on Mariah effing Carey on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's an absolute joke. That place should be basically boarded up. It's not a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a pop music museum.
It should be renamed the Music Hall of Fame. The Non-Country Music Hall of Fame.
No, it should have had some integrity and stayed the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
But then what do you do with the Whitneys?
I don't care. I have to be really honest with you. I don't like pop music. I've never liked pop music.
See,
I don't care.
See, Adam, what I was alluding to.
We'll continue this at 7.
Have you ever been?
No. I've not been in Cleveland since it's been open.
If we were in Cleveland doing a show and I said, "Hey, let's go," would you go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour, John Forslund, the best at calling hockey. Boy, missed him last night. All right. Missed him last night. Needed him. Was even listening on the radio. Phew, boy. No. Come on. If this is a big tournament, then bring your best broadcasters.
But Forslund's not their number one guy.
No, I know.
I know that. You and I think that. They don't think that.
No, I know. But on radio, okay, and I was listening, all right, on the app, they went with the local NHL network radio hosts on Sirius XM. And they're very good hosts. They have great enthusiasm about hockey. They're not play-by-play.
Right.
And I mean, no offense, if this is as big, they're billing it as best on best. Well, then how about if you do the same thing with the play-by-play guy?
No, I agree with that. David. I had to do something. I've been watching more television on my phone.
Okay.
I don't like to watch TV on my phone.
Me neither.
Hockey is really difficult to watch on your phone.
Sure, it's too small.
It is. And I'm at softball practice last night watching the Four Nations.
That's you know what? I'm applauding your gooberness. I am. You know what? Good for you. Good for you.
Then as I get out of the app during commercials, I'm going to the Score app to follow the score of St. John's and Villanova.
See, there we go. Now you have a problem.
That was my night at softball practice last night.
Outstanding. Any parents kind of looking at you going, what is his problem?
So there are bleachers, and then there is a scorer's table, if you will. There's an area built up behind home plate, a little platform with a roof over it where the official scorer sits. Well, during practice, there's obviously not official scores.
Right.
And there's only room for about 2 people on this bench. I get up there, plop my fat behind right in the middle.
You're making a statement. I don't want anybody to come and join me.
Because our former producer, I ran into him. He was with his son last week. He's the one that gave me the idea. He sat up there kind of on the end, and a parent came and sat down next to him. And our old producer literally looked around because there are wide open bleachers everywhere. There's, 15 people at a practice. And looked up, looked around, looked at the guy and was, am I getting punked? So I didn't go that far. I just tried to spread myself out as if to say, this is my area.
Have you ever done the old George Carlin bit in which he said you want to freak somebody out, go to a movie theater that's not well attended, and just go sit right next to somebody and go, hi.
Oh.
19 minutes before the hour. Time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
Well, let's start with the Four Nations face-off. What the heck?
There we go.
Canada up 2-0 after 1, 3-1 after 2, but here comes Sweden with 2 in the third, and they had a golden opportunity to win it before overtime. Both countries had golden opportunities in the first 6 minutes of overtime, but it's Mitch Marner for Canada with the game winner, Sidney Crosby with 3 assists. Canada gets 2 points, Sweden 1, 4-3 Canadians in overtime. Tonight it's USA-Finland, 7 o'clock, ESPN. Regulation wins count for 3 points. It's real simple. 4 teams, everybody's going to play each other once. Top 2 point getters are going to play for the championship. That's it. It's a 7-game tournament. That's it. All 30 teams in action in the NBA last night. Heat lose at Oklahoma City after having a 21-point lead. Mark, have you been noticing some of the Heat's fourth quarters lately? I mean,
David,
they're getting humiliated in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
It's remarkable. They've had like 4 of these in the last 2+ weeks. What'd they get outscored last night? 32-8?
Right, and I believe the quarter started with OKC going on a 24-0 run.
But the quarter started with Miami up double digits, and they lose by 14. And that's the third time that's happened in the last 2 weeks, where Miami's been up double digits going to the fourth and lost by double digits. It's the third
again, a
time.
24-0 run to start. I mean, they scored 24 consecutive points to start the fourth quarter.
Come on. I mean, OKC is pretty good. They do have the best record in the league. Heat in action tonight before the All-Star break. Orlando entered the All-Star break with a 102-86 win over Charlotte. Magic are 27-29 at the break. They're the 9 seed in the East. Boy, this was a wild one at Madison Square.
That looked fun.
149, 148 in overtime. What is this? George Gervin, David Thompson, the Spurs and Nuggets in the mid-'80s in the Western Conference?
Tell you
Damn.
what, when Trae Young comes to the Garden, David,
It's fun.
that young man puts on a show. Win or loss, Trae Young loves to play at the Garden.
And the crowd has decided, you know what? With Reggie Miller retired, you're the new villain. We're going after you. And Trey's like, bring it on. Karl Anthony Towns with 44. Brunson hit a shot with 11 seconds to go. Knicks won 149-148. Tatum and Porzingis combined for 61 in Boston's 13-point win at home against the Spurs. Mark, do you know the Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia 76ers have the same record? And the Nets are openly tanking.
I
Now
think the Sixers are about to because they're going to shut Embiid down for the year more than likely.
Maxey didn't play last night. Neither did Embiid. Philly loses in Brooklyn 196. Cleveland beat Toronto by 23. Cavs enter the break at 44-10, having won 8 of 9.
So I don't know if you caught this, but you know, the new disrespect card in the NBA. Did you catch the end of the Cavs game?
Didn't somebody for Cleveland like dunk it in the final seconds?
Yeah, and everybody upset.
Right, because they were already up 20-something, and right.
Tristan Thompson threw a dunk in with like 4 seconds left, and that apparently, you know, losing by 20 isn't bad enough, but if they dunk on you and you lose by 20, that makes it worse.
I know I said this a couple weeks ago, but I really think this is going to happen. I think Billy Donovan's going to get fired. And I don't think it's his fault. I mean, it's a bad roster, and they just traded away Zach LaVine. But Chicago just lost for the second straight night at home to Detroit. They lost by 18 last night, 128-110. Pistons are 3 games above 500, and the Bulls, amazingly, 11 games below 500, are the 10 seed in the East. But I don't know. I think Billy D's in trouble. Been there a while. Mark, no Giannis, no Lillard, and Milwaukee went into Minnesota and beat the T-Wolves. Does that seem like a problem for you?
It does.
103-101 Bucks. Lakers mailed one in heading into the All-Star break. They went to Utah, lost by 12. Bronny with a career-high 9 points in the fourth quarter. Lakers are the 5 seed out west right now. Dallas is the 8 seed in amongst all the picketing by the fans. They beat the Warriors 111-107. Golden State the 10 seed, Dallas the 8 in the West right now, heading into the break. Clippers beat Memphis 128-114, but the Grizz are the 2 seed and the Clip are the 6 heading into the All-Star break. College hoops. Duke continues to roll. They beat ACC rival Cal by 21. Villanova upset St. John 73-71. That was a system play. Texas Tech in 2 overtimes beat Arizona State by 5. Ole Miss covered against South Carolina by half a point, costing us in a system play. Ole Miss 72-68. And Missouri thumped Oklahoma. Oklahoma, a bubble team. Didn't look like a tournament team last night. And Mark, you know who didn't look like a tournament team who most people had as like last 4 in going into last night? Wake Forest.
David, they looked like a tournament team in the first half when they led 35-21 going into the break against a bad Florida State team.
And Leonard Hamilton in his final year got the guys to play hard. They scored like 12 of their final 15 possessions, and they upset the Deeks 72-70. That's a bad loss for Steve Forbes and company.
51 points in the second half. Steve Forbes, in a long-winded answer, buried himself and the team for their performance in the second half.
Richard Pitino in New Mexico are 21-4. They beat Wyoming by 4. John Cal and the Razorbacks have won 3 of 4, with the only loss being a close one to Bama. They beat LSU by 12 last night. Notre Dame in 2 overtimes beat BC 97-94. Iowa with their first Big Ten road win of the year. They beat Rutgers 84-73. Ohio State thumped Washington, another classic Big Ten rivalry, 93-69. Speaking of Ohio State, Mark, Matt Patricia is going to be the new defensive coordinator of the Buckeyes.
Apparently, that's where you go to revive your careers, Ohio State now.
And where you go to get paid, because this just in. They got money. Patricia took last year off. He spent it with all his friends. Travis Kelce is going to take a lot of time to figure out his playing future. That's according to Travis Kelce on he and his brother Jason's podcast. Bengals linebacker Jermaine Pratt, who's their leading tackler, is one of the top 10 tacklers in the game this year with 143. He was also part of 6 turnovers. He's requesting a trade entering the final year of his contract in Cincinnati, where he's making about $7 million a year. Mark, there seems to be a lot of people unhappy in Cincinnati.
Yes, there are.
And even though Burrow's going to give back, well, he's going to rearrange his contract. He's not going to give back a dime. He's just going to rearrange his contract so that the Bengals are going to have about 23 extra million to play with. But they got to get both wide receivers signed, Trey Hendrickson signed. Pratt's unhappy. They need to improve the team. I don't know. Doesn't seem like they can do all of it. Big night in Major League Baseball. Bregman was looking for a 6 or 7 year contract, but he was also looking to make no less than the $30 million he made the last 2 years in Houston. Well, he didn't get 6 or 7 years, but Mark, Alex Bregman got $40 million a year for 3 years to go to Boston. That's Aaron Judge money. That's more than Mookie Betts. I mean, that's like top 4 in the league.
Who do you think Boston was trying to outbid? That's what I don't get about it, David.
Well, Detroit was very much in it, but I don't think they were willing to go above 30. Houston kind of had it, like the word was they were out there at like 27 per long term. That wasn't enough for Bregman. Toronto was listed, but everybody's using the Jays to make money. And there was one other team who I forget off the top of my head.
Right, but it's one thing the other team's interested. It's another to pay a guy $40 million, which is $10 million more a year than we think he's worth.
I guess what Bregman was telling teams is that if you want me to sign short term and he's 30, you're going to have to give me a big number because I want 6-7 years at 30 plus. Okay. And you want to go 2-3 years. So if you want to go 2-3 years, you're going to have to overpay. And the Red Sox said, okay, we'll do it. Nick Pivetta, by the way, signs with San Diego after they hadn't signed anybody all offseason. How about this, Mark? The Padres this year, a little bit of a money crunch. Pivetta's agreed to make $4 million this year. 4-year deal, $4 million this year, then 19, 14, and 18 million. Huh. Anthony Rendon, one of the 5 worst free agent signings in the history of the sport. 7 years, $245 million. Yeah, he hurt his hip again, trying to rehab it. Probably going to miss the whole year. His career might be over. He's 5 years into that 7-year deal. He has not played more than 58 games in a season in each of the last 5 years. He's missed 200 more games than he's played in over the last 5 years. Yeah, unbelievable. NASCAR Chase Briscoe puts himself and Toyota on the pole at Daytona. First pole for Joe Gibbs Racing at Daytona since the late 90s. Who'd have thunk that? Wow. And at 8 minutes before the hour mark, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories and a Toyota on the pole here on Miller and Moulton. You know, you
Fords were fast, David. The Toyota beat out 4 Fords.
Yeah,
that's the way I read it. The Fords were fast.
Fords are always fast at Daytona. Always.
Good to know.
Yep.
Would you bet Ford?
Yes.
You had to bet a manufacturer for
totally
race?
Absolutely. Yep. But I thought first off, Toyota's been heavily invested in NASCAR for a quarter century. First pole at Daytona. Wow. And for Joe Gibbs Racing, I mean, for goodness sakes, he had Tony Stewart for all those years. First pole at Daytona since the Clinton administration? Wow. Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
I love my shower.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
From all of this, whether you stayed on the PGA Tour or you left, we have all benefited from this. And I've been on the record saying this. Look, for me, we've all we've all done better from all of this. Whether you stayed on the PGA Tour or you left, we have all benefited from this. And I've been on the record saying this a lot. Like, we're playing for $20 million prize fund this week. Like, that would have never happened if Liv hadn't come around. So I think everyone's just got to get over it. And we all have to say, okay, this is the starting point, and we move forward. We don't look behind us. We don't look to the past. We just, whatever's happened has happened, and it's been unfortunate, but reunification, how we all come back together and move forward, that's the best thing for everyone. So, like, if people are butthurt or have their feelings hurt because guys went and whatever, like, who cares? Like, let's.
I don't know how well you could hear that, David.
Heard it all.
Okay,
Heard
I
it
can
all.
play that if we want to.
Sure.
I now have us in a position where I think I can play audio occasionally. I don't know if we want to do that here, if we want to do that later.
Okay. How about 8:21 maybe?
Okay, that's fine.
I have an NFL segment. Nothing crazy, but one NFL segment. You want to do a Hall of Fame segment.
Correct.
So
We got the
what do
poll
you-
question to get to right now
right.
and yesterday's answers. I gave Realtor Clark Monday off to not take abuse from all you guys, but to take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and now appearing to take Thursday off. Wow, he is afraid of you guys.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It's hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Hope your week's going well. We got over the hump together yesterday, and thanks for doing that with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I am in Conway, Arkansas. Going to broadcast some college basketball this weekend. That's about a half hour north of Little Rock. It's 30 here, by the way, 30. So for all of you enjoying 70s already in the state of Florida, I wanted to make it feel even warmer for you. Okay, even our Huntsville audience is going, damn, 30. Huh. It feels pretty good here. Yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Things are looking up.
So, David, we had a very simple Swamp Buggy Races poll question yesterday.
Right.
It was about the Daytona 500. And how much of it will you watch? All of it, I'll check it out. Zero interest. Zero interest was the winner,
Which
and ended up having nearly 52% of the vote.
Oh, we knew it was going to win. I was just hoping it'd be less than 50.
I know you were. And it was for us, a pretty decent vote total. So people were interested in the question. So I believe the answer to be a little bit more indicative of our entire audience than normal when we get a poor response to whatever the question may be.
Okay.
That bothered you a lot, that it didn't get 50%. You wanted, you're a Daytona 500, you're a NASCAR guy. You wanted half of our audience to say, I'm watching the race.
Well, at least, yeah, for this one. I mean, I wanted to get 51% for this one.
Today, I'm putting it out there. I'm the one that could be hurt when this poll question is over, because I need 51% today too, David.
Oh, okay.
How much of the Four Nations face-off are you planning on watching?
Oh.
As much as I can. I didn't say all of it because there are 7 games, and I don't think anybody can, and maybe you will. Good for you if you've got the time to get every game in. But people have lives. So as much as you can, I'll watch the USA. None, it's hockey.
Well, none it's hockey is going to win. It's just a matter of will it get 50. Now, we have a big hockey audience. When we talk hockey and those that don't like it give us a hard time, we're like, listen, we've been doing this 20 years. We know the research. We really do. We're a top 10 hockey market. Our base, where we originated from, is the top 10 hockey market in the country. It's the number 2 market in the country that doesn't have an NHL team. Never mind, you go up the west coast of Florida, obviously the Lightning, what the Panthers have done here recently. Trust me, minor league hockey flourishing throughout the Sunshine State and even doing well now in places in the South where it didn't do well before.
And because hockey has been around for over a generation in Florida, youth hockey is thriving in Florida.
Right. Right. Kids who are being born, raised, going to school in Florida are being drafted and playing in the NHL.
While playing all of their youth hockey in the state of Florida. It's really been remarkable. So that's our question today. As much as I can, I'll watch the USA. None, it's hockey. Right now, David, early voting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch as much as I can, getting 50% of the early vote.
Now, that's everybody that watched last night.
I know. That was Canada and Sweden. So if you were into that, you're in.
Well, and listen, you and I consider ourselves hockey geeks too. And hockey geeks are kind of like soccer fan. They come out of the woodwork. Okay. Really? You're talking about us? Absolutely. I'll vote.
Hockey fan was soccer fan before soccer fan.
Yes.
Soccer fan has taken the place of hockey fan in the 21st century.
And its sports become more popular, which is very upsetting to hockey fan, but whatever. It happens. So that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X, our Swamp Buggy Races poll question. Go to swampbuggy.com. Swampbuggy.com. Make your plans now. Get your tickets first weekend of March for the Swamp Buggy Races. It's a great time. Hey, we will do this little mini segment again in 3 months because a lot will change between now and then. I'm talking about the NFL and a scheduling decision. And the reason why I say I think a lot will change in the next 3 months is you have free agency and you have a draft. And I think that the NFL, Park Avenue, will just sit back and see what these teams that I'm about to mention do. Because, Mark, one of the first decisions the NFL has to make about next year's schedule is, so who's going to play the Eagles on the first Thursday? Remember last year, they decided to have a rematch of the AFC Championship game. They weren't messing around. Boom. Baltimore, Kansas City. Right out of the chute.
It worked.
Uh-huh. The
year before, obviously, they went Kansas City and Detroit. Detroit was an up-and-comer, and they just felt first game, Kansas City, it doesn't really matter who you put against them. The game's going to get a monster number.
So next year, the NFC teams play 8 home games. They play 9 road games. AFC teams play 9 home games next year. These are the 8 home games for the Eagles. First off, we all know the 3 division games. If you are the NFL, Mark, because you can go rematch of the NFC title game.
Right.
You obviously can go ratings gold with you-know-who. Dallas.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if the Eagles had won the Super Bowl a year ago and you had Saquon playing his first game for the Eagles, I actually think the Giants could have been a candidate for the opener. But by next year, I think that story's old.
I agree with that.
So I don't think the NFL is going to schedule a division game week 1.
I know who I'd schedule for Philadelphia.
Well, first, I just want to lay out who the other 5 home games are.
Okay.
They play the NFC North, teams in the NFC East next year, which, by the way, think about that. The NFC East plays the NFC North, which had 3 playoff teams. They also play the AFC West, which also had 3 playoff teams. Right now, you have to say the NFC East teams have the toughest schedule on paper heading into next year, don't you?
100%.
Okay. So keep that in mind when you're making your predictions next year about wins and losses.
That's 7. I mean, obviously, the Eagles have to play 7 playoff teams because you throw Washington in there as well.
Minimum, correct. So the Eagles, after the 3 home division games, play Detroit.
That's at home?
Yeah, I'm giving you their home games.
Okay.
Their NFC North home games are Chicago and Detroit. Their AFC West home games are Denver and Vegas. So when they play Kansas City next year, they play them in Arrowhead. Then they play the Rams. Obviously, the Rams gave them their best game of the playoffs. In their 4 wins, the Rams game was far and away the closest. So you got the 3 division games, Mark. You got Denver and Vegas from the AFC West. You got Chicago and Detroit from the NFC North. And then you got the Rams. Let me just throw this out there. I'm guessing most people are thinking, well, Vegas is the worst team on that list. But think about what Vegas could bring to the table. First off, Pete Carroll's coaching. Brady's a part owner, might even be on the sidelines for the game. But also, don't we think Vegas is going to get their hands? I mean, couldn't they have Deion Skid at quarterback?
They could.
Now, I don't know if you're the end. Is that enough? I mean, the Raiders do well. The Raiders move the needle a little bit. The Raiders are like the Canes. They still move the needle a little bit.
But it usually takes them being good to move the needle. David, before you even gave me the home teams, I was thinking Philadelphia and Detroit.
Okay.
I really was. That's the NFC Championship so many people wanted to see, expected to see, and then Washington went and drilled Detroit, who had all those turnovers in that game. So that would be my lean. But when you told me Chicago was the other NFC North home team, I may lean Bears. Their ratings gold.
Now, I will say in the last 2 years, the Lions have really moved. America's decided they like the Lions. They like watching them play. They're fun.
But Ben Johnson, who was their offensive coordinator that made them fun, is now where? In Chicago.
Right. There'll be a lot of hype and attention around the Bears in training camp.
The other thing that I was thinking as you were going through their games, David, is it's a maximum of 5 primetime games? 6.
Yeah, now, Mark, with there being 3 primetime games a week, Thursday, Sunday, Monday, it's 5-ish.
So
the 6th one can appear.
One of the because it's so screwed up now. It used to be simple. It was the NFC team on the road. It was on Fox. So I don't know who gets what, but I would think Fox would want to protect the Super Bowl rematch.
Well, but yes, and that game's in Kansas City. Now, remember 2 years ago, the NFL gave the Philly-Kansas City game to Monday Night Football. So, yes, Mark, NBC and Fox will battle it out for Philly at Kansas City. And they'll both say, well, don't give it to Monday Night Football. You already gave it to them 2 years ago. So Sunday Night Football and Fox 425 will battle it out behind the scenes, wanting that game desperately.
So I'm trying to, Dallas Philly's usually a primetime game. The other one, the Washington games. I'm trying to just figure out where the 5 or 6, or however it's going to work out, primetime games are for Philly, because this schedule's juicy.
Well, and the good thing, Mark, is that you can schedule 5, but then if the networks start, like NBC and Monday Night Football, start moving games, that doesn't count. So it's like, all of a sudden we have a 6th primetime game and a 7th primetime game. The NFL's like, we only scheduled 5. So if you're the NFL, what opponent today would you schedule for the Eagles in the season opener? Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners. The world-famous cigar bar started as a neighborhood place in downtown Fort Myers, and now it's a brand, a destination, with 4 locations. The original place, Henry Street, Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, on Southeast 47th Terrace off the Cape Coral Parkway, and the Lounge on West 1st Street in Fort Myers. A place to go, whether you just need a relaxing drink and a smoke after a tough day at work, or a place to go celebrate. From relaxation to celebration, the world-famous cigar bar. Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I got to tell you, this whole new mail system on the iPhones has me just verklempt.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I just like them all in my inbox. I could delete what I wanted. I saw everything. Now it's just a royal pain in the butt. How do I go back to list view?
Yeah. Because I want to do it too.
Oh, there we go. All right. Thank you. You're my hero, baby Jules, or
Paula.
Paul. Okay. Thank you. Oh,
Okay. What do I do?
the 3 buttons in the top right of your email.
Okay.
See, it says like back, select, and there are 3 dots. Hit the 3 dots.
Oh my goodness.
God, I'm so happy right now.
I have felt for the last 2-3 days that I was missing emails and I was searching everywhere.
Oh, wow, life's better.
Let me tell you something. I am very unhappy with a certain newspaper because I have tried to unsubscribe for a month and I keep getting more of them, and that's really bothering me.
Well, somehow, I don't know how, but I get emails every day from the Hartford Current. I don't know what I read that has me on their email list, but I get a lot of emails from the Hartford Current every day.
Orlando Sentinel for me. I can't get rid of them. And I have purchased the Sentinel for, a month here, a month there, but driving me, So ESPN wants to have a season-ending meeting with me about the Monday Night Football season.
Oh, boy.
And I keep ignoring their emails because there's nothing. First off, my opinion doesn't matter. And my opinion is only going to get me in trouble. So I got an email last night going, we need to have this meeting.
Yeah, just have the meeting and play nice.
So I, of course, text back, why? I'm such a jerk. I can't get it out of my system. And I'm so much better than I used to be.
Are you, though?
I am. Come on, you know. But it's never going to leave me.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, fired up. One of the people that we admire most from afar, John Forslund. We think he's the best hockey play-by-play guy going, and he's joining us at the top of the hour. Talk a little NHL, talk about this Four Nations face-off, and just catch up with a longtime friend of the show, John Forslund. Chase Holden's going to join us a little more than an hour. Hey, Mark, I don't know if you're aware, it's a Daytona 500 week.
I am so excited.
Stop it. Just stop it. Do not take that tone with me, young man. Do not do it. Chase Holden will join us. We'll talk a little racing in a little more than an hour. Did you
For
see
everybody else that's along the same lines as I am, the race is this weekend. And the good news is we won't talk NASCAR again on this show probably until the playoff.
Not true. Not true. Every 2-3 weeks, I like to just bring Bob Pockras on, do one segment, just kind of catch up where we're at. And, when's our buddy Ross Chastain going to win again? Okay, talk to you in 3 weeks. Baxberg in the Twitch chat room. It's very funny. What's more exciting, Daytona 500 or the Australian Open? That was good. That's quality material. Good job by you. It's not often that I'm scared to bring something up with you. But there was a comment in the Twitch chat room late last hour asking us to vote for a particular Hall of Fame. And for as much as you hate all the Hall of Fame discussions that I have.
That's not true. I enjoy the Football Hall of Fame discussions a lot because I am fascinated by their process. I'm fascinated how few guys get in to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I would love, that's the reality show. If they could ever take that room and put it into a couple hours and put a documentary out there like a Drive to Survive into getting into the Hall of Fame, I would be riveted by what they do in Canton, David. But the Baseball Hall of Fame, I don't like the voters. The Basketball Hall of Fame is a Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not an NBA Hall of Fame, so it's a little different. The Golf Hall of Fame, whatever. The Golf Hall of Fames, they do nothing for me.
This particular Hall of Fame is a non-sports Hall of Fame.
You're going there.
It's relevant. It is. It's timely. It's relevant. But I am scared. And I'm not saying that lightly, because this is your hill that you're willing to die on. This is top 3 honk Mark Miller off topics of all time.
You're right. It is.
So, Mark, we have been asked to go online and vote for the newest people who should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And it is a long list of candidates that are eligible this year. Some great musical groups and some individuals. And then there are some people who have no business whatsoever being on a list for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Why
So
is that, Mark?
Because it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Mariah Carey being on the nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is like putting Ozzy Osbourne on the list for best all-time Christmas singers.
Once again, there is no place for the pop artists to go.
I'm going to say this again because I said it off air. I don't care. I don't care. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I happen to be someone who loves rock and roll music. From the 50s until now, I love all of it. I love the hair metal bands. I love the punk bands. I love the metal bands. I love the early rock and roll from Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis and things like that. I love it all. I like the Beatles' early music. I like the Beatles on drugs better.
Grunge. You like it all.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so there's a fan ballot. And I must say, I am as proud of rock and roll fans today as I've ever been.
Uh-oh.
Because Mariah Carey is second from the bottom on the fan ballot. And that's only because a group by the name of, is it Mana or Mana? And I'm not even sure, they're a Latin group, and they're brought on for their significance of bringing certain kind of music in. They're getting less votes. But Mariah Carey is at the bottom of the list. That makes me happy. Makes me want to burst into a Christmas song. I'm so happy about it.
So, who are you voting for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? For the record, we were asked in the Twitch chat room to vote for Billy Idol.
I don't believe Billy Idol is a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
I don't either.
Billy Idol had a moment. He's now doing great with his commercials, and I think they're funny.
Yes.
I think they've done a nice job of bringing some of these older rockers in and having some fun, because now we're all old and we recognize these people. Billy Idol is actually second on the fan ballot. I was surprised by that. I'm not at all surprised by who's leading the fan ballot. The fan ballot right now is led by Fish. And if you don't know who Fish is, they're a jam band. I'm not a big Fish fan. They've done some cool things when they go do concerts and replay an album from a certain genre. I think that they are just fine. They have a huge following. Hence them leading the fan vote.
Are they Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy?
I
You
don't
hear it?
believe so. I don't think Phish is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band, but I think they may get in.
Okay. Are they the Eli Manning of a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ballot?
No, because there's no Super Bowls in they're a compiler.
Oh, okay. They're
They've been at it a
Craigtatio.
long time, a lot of fans, sellout concerts everywhere they go for, numerous shows in the same venue. They have done a tremendous job in their longevity.
Okay.
Not my cup of tea.
So if we go and vote, and by the way, can we vote unlimited or are we only allowed?
I believe you can vote unlimited. I picked one band out of all of the lists
Really?
that I think is the most Hall of Fame worthy.
And that band is?
Soundgarden. The
Who
other
else?
bands that are on the list, it's Phish, Billy Idol, Soundgarden, Cyndi Lauper, Joe Cocker, Bad Company, Chubby Checker, who deserves to be in, the Black Crowes, Outkast, Oasis, the White Stripes. They have Joy Division and New Order together, and there's reasons for that. Mariah Carey and Mana. I don't know I don't think the Crows are. I love the Black Crowes. I mean, he's a first-class jerk. Personal experience, not a nice guy. Chris Robinson, the lead singer. But I love the Crows.
But you think they walk up to the Hall of Fame but
Yes.
don't get in?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
On
Now-
this list, I think Soundgarden's a Hall of Famer. I think Chubby Checker's a Hall of Famer. And that's about it for me.
Bad Company?
Uh,
Okay. Just asking. So trust me, we saw your texts, we saw your pleas in the Twitch chat room. It's a subject that I'm afraid to bring up. We started our show 18 years ago and have been fired 3 times, but Miller and Moulton have never lived on the edge like we are now. We have our best morning ratings ever, are steadily adding affiliates, yet we only have a few sponsors. And if that doesn't change, we can't continue. But if you want to advertise on Miller and Moulton, reach out to one of us directly by texting sponsor to 21,000 or contact Mark on X at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton. You can save Miller and Moulton and make your business some serious money by texting 21,000 now.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
John and YouTube, I could not agree with you more. An absolute joke. ESPN might take control of the red zone.
I did not see that.
NHL or NFL reopens talks with ESPN on purchase of league's media assets. Talks between the NFL and ESPN are back on as the league looks to selling assets of the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, NFL.com, and its fantasy business.
NFL's been trying to unload that for years. They just moved everything to Los Angeles. They made that morning show move. If you're ESPN, do you keep NFL Network if you buy it?
Yeah.
Do you rename it ESPN NFL?
Ooh.
See, I wouldn't. But, they love their branding. They think highly of themselves. I would be in the room going, there's a lot of people that don't like you.
Ambient, you can bet on damn near any sport that there is out there. And yes, you can bet on the Olympics.
Yeah, if where you bet will put a line out on it. Like there were a couple of prop bets that the Hard Rock didn't do that a lot of other places did for the Super Bowl, but yep.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. John Forslund will join us at that time to talk a little hockey. Hockey, the focus of our Swamp Buggy Races poll question. Go to swampbuggy.com, buy your tickets. First weekend of March, the final Swamp Buggy Races of the year. Go to swampbuggy.com and get your tickets now. But the question is a takeoff on the question we did yesterday involving the Daytona 500. We asked you, does this interest you at all? A little, a lot, not at all? Well, same thing with this Four Nations face-off. You going to watch? You only going to watch when the United States plays? Or, no, it's hockey. I don't watch hockey.
David, 43% of our audience is not watching. Means 57% is. Right now, we are above the Mendoza line in hockey.
Right now. But I will say, every segment, the percentage of people not watching because it's hockey keeps growing.
You're right.
We're going to have trouble holding off Miami and Dade counties and their vote totals late. I have a feeling on this one. You mentioned before when I did in the starting five, the Alex Bregman, the Red Sox story, 3 for $120, $40 million a year, which is Aaron Judge money, which I think only takes a back seat to Ohtani and Juan Soto. I mean, it's more than Mookie Betts is making a year. It's more than Trout, I think, is making a year. Maybe Trout's making a smidge more. But, I mean, Alex Bregman's now making top 5 AAV in the sport. He turns 31 at the end of March. I mean, he's a very good third baseman, but shouldn't be one of the top 5 AAV guys in the sport. And you said, how the hell did this happen? So here's how the Red Sox got him. Houston was offering 6 for 156. There are reports they kind of threw a little on top of it, like 6 for 159. That's 26 and change a year. Detroit reportedly offered him 6 for 171, which is, I believe, 28 and a half a year. And Bregman wanted he wanted 6-7 years. He wanted this to be his last contract. The Red Sox and others, including the Cubs, that was the team we couldn't think of last hour. They didn't want to go long-term. They wanted to go, can we go 2 years, 3 years with opt-outs? And Bregman, with Scott Boras as his agent, said, I'll only do a deal like that if you go much higher on the AAV. I ain't going to do $30 million a year for 1, 2, 3 years. You want me to accept a deal that's, let's say 40. So, Mark, apparently this is 3 for 120. There's opt-outs after every year, and part of the $40 million a year is deferred. I mean, he'll get the money. It's like Scherzer. Remember, he signed that 7-year, $210 million deal like 12 years ago with the Nats. Literally half the contract was deferred. Scherzer got $15 million a year for 7 years with the Nats, and then he's going to be getting $15 million a year for another 7 years as soon as his playing career is over. So that's how that deal came to be.
It is amazing how seemingly every year owners for months draw a line in the sand.
Yep.
That I'm not going to spend this money on player X. And I'm not going to give in to Scott Boras. And we've got to stand firm as owners. And yet someone always caves, David.
Well, this is where the fans, for a while now in Boston, have been giving John Henry and Red Sox management a hard time. Kind of like, you do know we're the Boston Red Sox, right? And you keep talking about a budget and profitability, and yeah, we only care about winning and losing.
We want to rebuild our system while we're reloading our system.
Right. Like, like the Dodgers have done. They spend a ton of money on their major league product while also putting together a top 5 farm system in baseball. That's kind of the way we think it should go. And now the Red Sox have put
the money to do that.
Right. And you've spent it in the past, so why are you not spending it now? Which has got Red Sox fans saying you care more about your soccer clubs, the reports you want to get out of owning the Penguins. What, do you need the money? Are you cash poor? Right. Okay.
Well, I mean, Bucks fan yelled this for the longest time when not a lot was going on in Bucks off seasons, and they weren't doing anything and weren't spending money and thought the Glazers were spending too much on their soccer team. Not the first complaint from a U.S. fan base that their ownership cares more about other teams that they own.
Also, by the way, they're asking Bregman to switch positions. I mean, he's been an all-star third baseman. He's a good, solid player. He's like 275, 28, 32 homers, 90 RBIs, very good defensive third. I mean, he's a very good player. Has been for the last 8 years. But $40 million a year. I mean, Aaron Judge money? They're going to make a move to second. Now, remember, who was the third base coach and bench coach in Houston during the whole garbage can scandal for the Astros in 2017. Cora, manager of the Red Sox. He apparently was pounding the table wanting this guy going, I watched him every day. He's exactly what we need. Okay, exactly what we need. He's a winner. He's a leader. We need him. So, they made the trade for Crochet, the Cy Young Award winner there with the White Sox. I don't know if he won the Cy Young, but he was really good. And now they signed Bregman. So the Red Sox got some stuff done. Full squad shows up Monday in Fort Myers for spring training. If you're a Red Sox fan, you're like, well, okay, they listened. We spent a little money. We gave away a few prospects. Okay, there you go. Let's say, I'm tired of finishing 4th and 5th. Let's go.
So with all that being said, and the moves, and he did not win the Cy Young. The guy in Detroit won the Cy
I
Young.
know. I did. I know.
Well, you're right. He had a very good year. And I'm looking right now, and I don't see it. Of course,
Odds to win the World
why would
Series.
Hard Rock have the Red Sox over/under on here? Unbelievable. It's one of the worst apps on the planet. It's all we're stuck with.
I know. It's such a crime. It's such a crime.
But where are the Red Sox in that division in your right now?
Third.
That's what I thought.
A close third, though. I'm not happy with the Orioles offseason at all. And Orioles fans shouldn't be either.
86.5 is the Red Sox over/under.
Yeah, I'd lean slightly over. I would. Now, I think the Rays will be better. They get all that pitching back. I don't think the Orioles will be better. I think the Yankees will be about the same, despite losing Soto.
Yankees are 91.5. Baltimore's 87.5. Boston 86.5. The Rays 81.5.
Oh man, they keep doing that with us. They keep making us bet whether the Rays are going to be above 500 or not. They were below 500 last year, Mark. I think they were 80 and 82. I say we go over on the Rays. I'm going over on the Yankees, by the way. I think the Yankees win 92 or more games. Absolutely, I do.
And Toronto at 78.5.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Someone's got to be an under in that division, David.
Yeah, I know. Well, so there you have it. So
For
the Red
those
Sox,
wondering, because I'm assuming that you are, the Dodgers have the highest win total in the over-unders. Would you care to venture a guess, David?
101.5.
103.5.
Woo-wee!
The Braves are the next closest at 93.5. Vegas is telling you that the Dodgers are 10 games better than anyone else in baseball. If I said you can have the Dodgers, I get the field, and I've got to have one team win, 10 games less than, which side would you be on, the Dodgers or the field?
Oh, boy. For the regular season, I mean, the Dodgers are staggeringly deep. They're going to be a great regular season team, Mark. They can withstand injuries everywhere. And they're not even calling up any of their young guys who, quite frankly, they have a top 4 farm system in baseball. They got guys chomping at the bit to play in LA. I think the Dodgers win the division by more than 10 games.
Oh, yeah, no, with that, but do you think anybody wins? The Dodgers win 104. Do you think anybody has 95 or better in baseball?
No, because I think the Braves, Phillies, and Mets will keep the rest in check. I don't think anybody will win the East with 95. I'll say this, though. The Arizona Diamondbacks are going to be good. Don't laugh. They went to the World Series 2 years ago, and they missed the playoffs with 89 wins last year on a tiebreaker. Don't make fun of Moulton talking up the Diamondbacks for the 3rd year in a row, okay? I don't want to hear it.
text her to my phone line, not 21,000, which is wide open if you want to text the show. Start talking a little Red Sox. Red Sox Nation answers.
Yep.
Cora is an idiot, and they should have gotten rid of him. And to pay what they did for a second baseman, $40 million? Are they out of their cotton picking mind?
Can I
I
ask?
wish I'd done that in a Boston accent. I apologize.
Want to regroup? Take another shot at it. I'll fill time while you regroup.
I don't know if I can.
Turn your mic off. Practice it once. I just got one thing to say. Why does baseball fan care? It's not a salary cap sport. This isn't football or basketball where a bad contract or two can absolutely kill you. What do you care?
Cora is an
Seriously.
idiot. They should have gotten rid of him. And to pay $40 million for a second baseman? Are they out of the cotton picking mind?
It's okay.
I never know if it's more New York or Boston.
Well-
They start flowing in with one another in the middle. And
No,
that
I know. You started as Bowden and ended as Spurrier. You did.
Right.
I mean, but, it's okay. It was a good effort. But I don't understand that with baseball fan. What do you care? Yeah, they overpaid for him. It's the only way they were going to get him.
Bingo.
Now, I'll say this. I don't think he opts out. He'd have to have a great year to opt out. Because he'd have to think, I had such a good year, I can get a 4 or 5 year deal. Remember, he turns 31 at the end of March. So in theory, he plays these 3 years at 31, 32, and 33. I actually like the deal for the Red Sox. They keep the guy at, Devers? I think keep Devers at third. All right. They finally can be done with the whole Trevor story. That was awful. That helped get the old GM fired.
I'm with you, David. If the owner doesn't care about what he's spending on the team,
Right.
why should you? It's different in football. A Cowboys fan being pissed at Jarrah for what he gave CD Lamb and Dak and waiting, you are justified in your complaints about that because it affects the rest of the team. But the Red Sox signing Bregman doesn't give a damn who they sign anywhere else.
I mean, there are penalties, certain tax thresholds, and you could drop 10 spots in the draft. You could lose a little international signing pool money, which, by the way, the Red Sox will lose a draft pick and $500,000 of international signing pool money by signing Bregman. But I'll say this, with the Red Sox pitching, if the Red Sox can make the postseason, the Red Sox will be a tough out. They got starters. They go 5-6 deep in the starting rotation. They can pitch. So, I don't know. It's not your money. What do you care?
But if it were your team's money, if it were basketball, if it were hockey, if it were football, you can justify a fan's reaction to too much money because those are salary cap sports.
Now, if your owner later this year or next year says, well, our payrolls where we can't afford to spend more, that's when you go, well, then why did you spend 40 on Bregman then? Okay. But as long as he's willing to open up his wallet, what do you care? Now, if you're a Pirates fan, a Twins fan, a Guardians fan or what have you, Marlins fan, Rays fan, you can get upset about things because you're like, man, you guys won't even spend $4.
You don't have to spend anything to vote on our Swamp Buggy Races poll question. Just go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or Miller_Moulton on X. Hockey fan, I need you. How much of the Four Nations face-off are you planning on watching? Right now, 53% of you are watching the tournament. 47% of you are not watching the tournament. We're doing better than NASCAR, but it's not by much.
Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com. Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Johnny Mac, if that's the only thing that's being worn, yes. Oh, wow. That's awesome, Michael. Oh, okay. A couple of hockey votes there. We're down to 55-45. So
I did not, Brian. I was not watching that early. Have you ever eaten at IKEA? Don't you buy furniture there? I've never been in an IKEA store. John is on. I did steal one of Trent's line. Trent gave good phone. Trent was always after the hill. You still got a couple minutes for us? I've stolen that line from him.
Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home of Miller and Moulton, at least in the 239 and the 904. Final hour of the show in Lake City and surrounding areas, Charlotte County and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our Swamp Buggy Races poll question. All right. The Four Nations face-off. How much of it are you watching or planning on watching? I'll watch as much as I can. I'm definitely going to watch when it's Team USA. Yeah, it's hockey. I don't watch hockey. Those are our options. So far, watching hockey is winning. There we go. It's what we like to see. John Forslund makes his living broadcasting hockey. He's the best at it. Voice of the Seattle Kraken, the NHL on TNT, Sports USA Radio. Kraken games on Monday nights are on Amazon. Follow John on X at John Forslund, Forslund. Hey, my birthday's right around Christmas, and I've joked for years that people basically ignore it because it's too close to Christmas. I didn't realize you're a Valentine's Day baby. Do you get, have you been neglected on your birthday all these years?
I'm not going to say that. No, I'm too smart to say that. No, I've been lucky that way. But it's a tedious day, boys, to say the least.
I mean, that there is something about that it's your birthday and you're required to buy the sweetheart the gift
the other way.
Yeah,
even when you're a kid, it's your mom, right? So
right,
yeah.
And now it's your lovely bride.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we just brought up a sore subject.
Wow.
Hey, let's talk hockey, huh?
Yes.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
What do you think about this? What'd you think about it before last night? And obviously last night's game was terrific. The Four Nations face-off, your thoughts on it?
To be honest with you, I wasn't sure. I was hoping for the best. I was hoping that, this best on best situation would bring out unbelievable hockey to watch. Based on the fact that there's some randomness attached to it because you throw it together in the middle of a season, the guys get there for 2 days and they play. And it's a short tournament and you have to manufacture your emotion to play a real hockey game, a game that's going to go beyond what an all-star game would look like. Now, the All-Star game has morphed into a mess over the years. It's something that not a lot of people want to watch, and I don't blame them. But this certainly wasn't that. This was a very good game that continued to get better and better as it went along. There was some physical engagement that I was worried about. I think there was a hit in the first period. I think it was Josh Morrissey of Canada threw the body at somebody. It caught my eye. I was like, okay, it just takes one. And so both teams were in double figures with their hits. And that's pretty good in a situation where everybody's real. Nobody wants to get hurt too. So this is a hard one to get all of that emotion. We get to a point next week where the championship game, we're all just waiting with bated breath. I hope that's the situation because that'll be good for hockey. But by Canada losing a point last night, yes, they win the game in overtime, but this is a 3-2-1 point situation, 1 for an overtime loss and 3 for a regulation win. It sets up an interesting scenario now for Sweden to be involved in this thing all the way to the end. For the U.S., having to win, to put themselves in the driver's seat if they win in regulation tonight, if they win in regulation over Canada Saturday night. I think we got an interesting story brewing here.
And the point you made about the hit in the first period, and I didn't know if it would happen last night. I was pretty certain it was going to happen tonight because this U.S. team, while unbelievably talented, maybe the most physical team in the tournament, and it's the way their best players play their best hockey is when they're playing a physical style. I don't think the U.S. can win without being physical, John.
No, they have to, and that could be a difference maker in a tournament like this. And there's an old theory in hockey, that, and the players will talk about this. If you don't play 100% the way you want to play, you are going to get hurt. So I think they do have to go out there and play that way, and then also bring a ton of skill that they're going to bring to the table, and Connor Hellebuck in goal. So, those are the things that have put that team in my mind in the driver's seat in terms of being the favorite coming into this thing. And I'm not alone. I think they are the odds-on favorite to win the tournament. But you are to begin the thing in Canada, and you are playing, Team Canada in Montreal on Saturday night. That atmosphere alone is going to carry this Canadian thing to an interesting crescendo. And it's also going to deliver, performances out of maybe Connor McDavid that we didn't see last night. He was good, but Sidney Crosby was the best player in the game for their team. Good for him. I was happy to see that one go down with his 3 assists and an unbelievable assist in overtime. But, McDavid was hit last night too, which was interesting. And so I want to see that play out. I want to see the United States, the Tkachuk brothers, bring that and see where it goes under this circumstance, under this international quasi-NHL, whatever you want to call this. It's not truly international play, but it's close to it.
It was beautiful seeing the Montreal crowd actually clap for Patrice Bergeron, but they still booed Austin Matthews. I just thought that was spectacular in the introductions. I miss the Russians not being in it, though. My thought is that, listen, if you're going to let them play in the league, this is a league-run tournament. Put them in the tournament.
Yeah, they got to get to a conclusion on that because it's really not best on best without them. And you have to give the Czechs their due. You have to give the Germans with Leon Draisaitl their due. There's so many players. The Swiss would put together an interesting team. They wouldn't be obviously a team that would medal, you wouldn't think, but they're going to be tough to play against. And without the Russians, without Nikita Kucherov, Artemi Panarin, Vasilevsky, you think about it. If they were involved in this would be really intriguing. Hopefully the world will get to a better place by the Olympics a year from now, and hopefully Russia can be involved. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. But as we get down the line, obviously this has got to get fixed.
Team you used to work for, Carolina, made a big trade a couple of weeks ago. It changes their dynamic in the East. To me, when you look at Carolina now, how much different are they with that trade?
Yeah, they're really different. I mean, they're in a position now that they've got a superstar player to go along with a bunch of other superstars that they already have. The key will be, making sure that he fits and doing away with any kind of conjecture or rumor that might be out there that the Canes might, flip him at the deadline, which is March 7th, as you guys know. unless they sign him. You know, that's out there. I'm not sure there's any validity to that, but that's a topic that's being talked about within hockey. You know, that they got to get a read on whether or not they can retain Mikko Rantanen moving forward and meet his demand, which might be anywhere between $12.5 million to $14 million per season, maybe more, depending on who you ask. So if they can get to a long-term deal with him, or at least understanding that's where they're going, or at least they're going to have a rat's chance at the end of the year, better than maybe, you know, he's letting on right now, then good. But in the now, it helps them become, you know, one of those teams that's going to get looked at. I don't know if they're better than Florida, even with Rantanen in their lineup. I'm not sure. For me, the Panthers are still the team. And then there's a little notch below that with Carolina, New Jersey, Washington, you know, and then the other teams. And Tampa's had a real good run here before the break. But they're still scrambling to make the playoffs along with a collection of other teams. The Maple Leafs are in that next group with Carolina and New Jersey and all that. Not too far behind, don't get me wrong, but I still think Florida's the cream of the Eastern Conference. So that helps Carolina get in that position. And Carolina's hoping that Sebastian Aho and Rantanen, their boyhood friends, you know, they're going to have chemistry, you know, on a line together and really duplicate what Rantanen was able to do with Nathan McKinnon for years. It hasn't happened yet, but sometimes these things in the immediacy of a trade take some time.
How about what Ovechkin is doing at his age?
That's incredible.
And coming back from the leg injury where he misses a month. I mean, my goodness, John, you go back to what, his last 79, 80 games? Hasn't he scored like 60 goals? I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah, it's completely remarkable and a testament to how great this player is and has been and will go down as the greatest goal scorer. And one of the greatest players in the history of the game, and leader, and champion, and all of that. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch him still get it done. Some of the goals that he has scored in this run have been game winners. Sure, he's got his empty netters, but remember, if you're on the ice at the end of the game in a 5-against-6, you're out there for a reason, and he always is. And he's got more empty netters than anybody in the history of the game. I think he scored in 46 different buildings now. He just scored the other night in Utah. You know, he scored at the Climate Pledge Arena, so he keeps adding all of these new venues to his resume. So this is an amazing situation that might happen this year, and no one saw that coming. So it's still a stretch in terms of the run he's going to have to go on in March. But if anybody can do this through March and in the middle of April, he's got about 7-8 weeks to score 16 goals. It's doable.
Well, an early birthday greeting. Enjoy your midseason break here. And hopefully we can talk again around the deadline.
Yeah, no problem. Always available for you guys. Keep up that great work. And it's my pleasure. Enjoy coming on.
Thanks,
John Forslund, we think he's the best. NHL on TNT, Sports USA Radio Network, voice of the Seattle Kraken. Kraken have their Monday night games on Amazon in the Pacific Northwest. Next time I want to ask them about that. You know, do they have any numbers? Is that working? You know?
Yeah, I could have asked a Western Conference question there. You know, do you see the same dividing line between Winnipeg and the rest? But I don't really think 6 people who listen to the show give a damn.
No, and there's 9 teams for 8 spots out west. I mean, there's very little intrigue. Also, because you and I don't think home ice means all that much anymore.
No, but you look at the goal differential that Winnipeg has, it's impressive. You always think of them as a defensive team. They've scored the most goals of anybody in the Western Conference. And when you have the Edmontons and the Colorados out there, that's a surprise.
Tell me, though, you don't think of the Winnipeg Jets the way you and I think of the Tennessee Vols basketball with Rick Barnes.
100. What a great comparison, David.
Great regular seasons don't get it done in the postseason. Sorry. John Forslund, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I'm thinking of writing Gary Bettman. And I know that's stupid, but I am. I'm thinking of writing or sending an email or something. It was not a good radio listen last night. And I was really into the Four Nations face-off. And the guy doing it loves hockey. He does a really good hockey show on NHL Network Radio. Mark, you know, he's not a hockey play-by-play guy. And if you're not a hockey play-by-play guy, I mean, damn, that sport's hard to do when you're a hockey play-by-play guy.
Full curmudgeon mode, just about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Other than that, I think I've been in a pretty decent mood. And I am in a good mood this morning.
Just does not believe Mariah Carey should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah, Sonny, Forslund's the best. I swear. He's 63 tomorrow.
Wow.
He
I would
looks-
not have imagined him to be that old. He looks
I know.
great.
Looks terrific.
I thought he was my age.
Oh.
You want to do that golf here? Play the sound?
Yeah, totally. I'll welcome us back, and then you take over. Apparently, this Chase Holden, this NASCAR guy,
Yeah.
younger, full of energy, thrilled to be coming on. I think one of those podcasts, or both of them, is part of the Dale Jr. podcasting network.
Okay.
I think he works for Junior. But he also said, by the way, he goes, IndyCar is going to have a massive year. So if this goes well, I think we could get him, semi-regularly if we want him.
Right. I mean, I can't wait to talk IndyCar racing.
And KW, you think he's a curmudgeon today. He's on fire today.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Chase Holden, first-time guest. Talking a little NASCAR, Daytona. Chase Briscoe on the pole. Toyota on the pole, first time ever. First time Joe Gibbs Racing on the pole this century. And a whole bunch of Fords after that. They'll fill out the field with the duels. I still call them the twin. I even call them the twin 125s, even though they're 150s now. I show my age and how far back I go with NASCAR. I refer to these as the twin 150s, and they haven't been in twin 150s for like 15 years.
It's the Gatorade duel, right?
Yeah, it's the duels. Yeah. You got 9 guys racing for 4 spots, and everybody in these 2 races are just going to, most of the drivers are just going to, fill out where it is they're going to start the race.
And this is a race where it truly doesn't matter where you start.
I don't think so, because very rarely is the first big wreck early. Every now and then you can get a first big wreck midway through the race. People get a little ornery. But usually it's like, okay, hour left. Here it comes.
Yeah, we get one about 60, 70% of the way through the race, and then we get another one late.
Yeah, and sometimes we get multiple late. Sometimes we have to do about 3-4 restarts at the end. With guys going, I don't have fuel for this. But anyway, we'll talk with Chase Holden for the first time coming up in about 15 minutes. Our Swamp Buggy Races poll question. Go to swampbuggy.com. We asked basically the same question we asked yesterday. Yesterday, we asked it about NASCAR, the Daytona 500, and how much of it are you going to watch? Well, now we're asking you about this Four Nations face-off. It's hockey, by the way, for those of you that don't know. How much are you watching? Are you only watching when the United States plays? Or are you like, it's hockey. I don't watch hockey.
42+% of you say none, it's hockey, but a little over 39% of you saying as much as I can.
Ha, ha, ha. John Forslund bringing the votes. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X.
So yesterday, they're getting ready to play the Genesis, which is going to be at Torrey because of the wildfires in LA, and they've moved the tournament to Torrey. This is Tiger's tournament. He's not playing. His mother just passed away. And the head of the PGA Tour just met with the president about getting golf to get their act in gear and get LIV and PGA to merge. I mean, that's what they met about.
By the way, Tiger and President Trump played golf Super Bowl Sunday morning. That's what the president was doing before he flew to the game. He was playing golf with Tiger. And Tiger's on the board in part of these negotiations. I mean, don't think it didn't come up.
It's all that comes up. I mean, President Trump loves golf.
He does.
This is not a political statement. We're not going political. We don't do it on this show. But this is where they do mix, because President Trump is a huge fan of golf.
He's also, on his courses, hosted LIV events. I mean, at Doral in Bedminster, I think he even hosted one overseas.
Yes, he did.
So he's a full-on supporter of LIV.
And then Monahan and Adam Scott met with the president recently. Adam Scott's on the tour board. And Rory McIlroy, who was the mouthpiece of the anti-live movement for so long. And then when the tour decided they were going to merge, Rory went media silent for a bit because he was pissed.
As he should have been.
They used him.
Yes, they did.
And it didn't work. And it made Rory look bad.
Yes.
Rory's back to getting in front of the microphone. Here's what Rory had to say about the PGA Tour and Live Golf.
Look, for me, we've all done better from all of this. Whether you stayed on the PGA Tour or you left, we have all benefited from this. And I've been on the record saying this a lot. Like, we're playing for $20 million prize fund this week. Like, that would have never happened if Liv hadn't come around. So I think everyone's just got to get over it. And we all have to say, okay, this is the starting point, and we move forward. We don't look behind us. We don't look to the past. We just, whatever's happened has happened, and it's been unfortunate, but reunification, how we all come back together and move forward, that's the best thing for everyone. So, like, if people are butthurt or have their feelings hurt because guys went and whatever, like, who cares?
That's Rory McIlroy, who went butthurt in his quote right there. You did catch that correctly.
By the way, the number one guy who wants damages still inflicted on the golfers who left the PGA Tour and went LIV is Tiger. Tiger's the one that's like, oh, no. They don't just come back on tour. No. So I find it funny because Rory and Tiger are in business together. This whole TGL thing, 20% owned by the PGA Tour, by the way. I didn't know that originally. It's part of why they're helping to promote it.
So, first off, do you agree with what Rory said? It's hard not to be brutally honest. They're not playing for the money they're playing for this week without Live Golf. They're not.
Now, listen, I'm biased, and I said it 3 years ago. I'm a Phil guy. Okay? Now, Phil's made mistakes, and Phil's been wrong a lot. But Phil was right about this. I'm sorry. Greg Norman was right about a lot of it. They were just the wrong two guys to be the faces. But they took the bullets for this. And if you remember 3 years ago, they said, we should be playing for a lot more money. The money we make these guys, the networks, we should be playing for a lot more money. That's number one. And LIV, $25 million purses. Now, guess what? PGA Tour's got like 8 $20 million purses. The majors have just thrown money at their purses to try to not be embarrassed by their purse versus an LIV event. Huh. Funny. Hell, there's 54 hole events on the PGA Tour. There's no cut events on the PGA Tour. I wonder why that happened.
What I'm most curious about is if a reunification comes, which I think will, between Live Golf and the PGA Tour.
I do too, because Trump's Justice Department is going to drop the demands on
Bingo.
the Saudis that the Biden Justice Department and or the Obama Justice Department would have asked of them. Trump's Justice Department is not going to ask the Saudis to open up their books. Okay, so yeah, Mark, I think this deal, I think they just have to work out whether or not Rahm is going to be punished is Phil going to be punished coming back, or do they have to sit out certain events, or is Rory right? And it's like, hey, suck it up and get over it.
I hope that Rory's right, but what I still am most interested in, because I think we all now as golf fans, if you are a golf fan, want everybody playing against one another. We're watching these tour events. The elevated events are fine. The other tour events are tough to watch right now, and I'm a golf fan. But mainly to the older golf fan who hated Live, and I mean hated Live and everything that they stood for.
They still do.
You going to welcome those guys back? Or are they just going to be the enemy and you're going to watch?
And now you're going to root against those guys forever, which, by the way, would be good for golf. Not a lot of golfers have worn. Not a lot of golfers have worn the black hat.
Just Gary Player in the black shirt and the black pants and the black shoes.
Boom.
So Rory goes butthurt.
Butthurt.
Wow. Yeah.
And
now you know I wanted to play the sound so badly.
He's talking about Tiger there as much as any other golfer on the PGA Tour. He is talking Tiger there. Don't think he's not.
At Tiger's tournament, too.
Right. They're butthurt. They just need to get over it. Hey, Tiger, what's up? See you at the TGL next Tuesday. Sorry about your mom. Miller and Moulton. Chase Holden. Little racing. Next.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. Sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
How about the shootout at Mel's Diner yesterday? Had a person that I know, I almost said friend, had an acquaintance I know that was actually there when it happened. I don't know how many Mel's Diners there are anymore, but it's on Fort Myers and on Cleveland Ave. U.S. Marshals. Like get down on the ground type stuff. Yeah, Fort Myers. I doubt you saw it because you don't live here, but there was the U.S. Marshals found their guy yesterday at Mel's Diner, shot him at Mel's Diner.
Damn.
Right. And I had an acquaintance. I was looking on Facebook. She was actually there when it happened.
She film it?
No. It says Fort Myers in the story. It could have been Bonita. It doesn't have an address. It says on 41. It said on Cleveland Avenue, Fort Myers. So I didn't know. I thought it was the one. Isn't there one across from Page Field?
I don't know.
But this wasn't the locals. This was the U.S. Marshals. So, David, I think we can do more. I mean, if we get the sound ahead of time and I can get it up, we can do more of that.
Great.
So if you see stuff at night, text it to me. You know what I mean? Oh, crap. I got to call our guy here. We're going to talk NASCAR. Chase is ready. He's fired up.
Right.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Chase Briscoe put a Toyota on the pole at Daytona last night. First Joe Gibbs racing driver to have the pole at Daytona this century. We're going to talk a little racing now. Chase Holden, a self-proclaimed straight shooter, Mark. We're going to put him to the test. He covers IndyCar and NASCAR on the Speed Street podcast. He's part of Dale Jr.'s Dirty Mo Media. Follow Chase on X, Garage Guy Chase, Garage Guy Chase. Chase, it's David and Mark. Good morning. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I want to thank you for having me. It's an exciting time to be in Florida right now, so I'm happy to be on a Florida radio station getting ready for the Daytona 500.
Okay. Does the rest of the sport behind the back of NASCAR, are they rubbing up to Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, and going, way to go, guys, we're totally behind you? Or is the rest of the sport walking past them and whispering out of the side of their mouth, those guys are bat blank crazy?
Like, I'll put it to you like this. It'd be very easy for me to say that everyone wants to be buddy-buddy with Michael Jordan. I think that all of us could agree that that's probably a great friendship to have. But I think the reality of it is that a lot of these guys just want to race, man. You hear folks like Richard Childress talking recently, on Dale Jr. Download, and he even said himself, like, we have sponsors that we have to take care of. We have agreements that are already on the line. We didn't have the opportunity to do what they did, and a lot of these teams commend them for it. And I know I have my own opinions of it as well. I've been very vocal about it. I just think it's always good to see change, and it's always good to see people fighting for what they believe in. So while I would hope everybody was buddied up with him on this topic, I don't really think it's my place to speak on behalf of those teams. But I think we all know what's really going on in the garage.
More on the track for this question, and I know the 500 gets us started, but when you look at the season as a whole, is there a driver who has more pressure on him this year than ever before?
Man, I was having a conversation the other night when the Super Bowl was on, and obviously there's been a lot of motorsports hype, but I feel like this is a very big year for Chase Elliott. He is a big name in this sport. His father, is a legend of NASCAR, Bill Elliott. And since the Gen 7 era began in 2022, it seems like the consistency maybe fell off a little bit for Chase. Now, him coming out winning the Clash this year was obviously a big statement. And I can't help but feel that coming into this race, knowing, that he doesn't have that Daytona 500, he is one of the most popular drivers, if not the most popular driver in the sport right now. I feel like this is going to be a very big year for Chase Elliott. And for some reason, I just really feel like he's got a different level of fire in him coming into 2025.
We think it's a big year for our guy in our neck of the woods, Ross Chastain, coming off a down year after nearly winning the championship in 23. I mean, he's got great history at Daytona. He had a top 10 finish there when he wasn't with one of the top teams even. But your thoughts on how big 2025 is for our guy Chastain?
Man, the Melon Man himself. What could you ask for more than a man winning a race and smashing a watermelon all over asphalt? For me, that right there is one of the most unique and iconic celebrations in motorsport. The Martinsville wall ride, he's already done so much. And whenever you look to last year, it was very lackluster in comparison to years prior. Ross has always been a very, maybe not so much a polarizing figure, but he definitely knows how to get under your skin if he wants to. And I think with Trackhouse having the year they're about to have with Shane Van Gisbergen coming over from Supercars, they just brought Red Bull back to NASCAR, Trackhouse, Justin Marks. There is a lot lining up for Trackhouse. And if there is one guy that I like at Trackhouse to really take a shot to win the Daytona 500 that we know can do well on super speedways, Daniel Suarez is one of those guys as well. But I really do feel good about Ross Chastain, and he actually is one of the guys that I am looking to have in my fantasy lineups this weekend, and that I'm going to be looking to maybe place a little outright on. He's 30-1 over on the books right now, and all I got to say is that is some insane value for a guy that we know can lay it all out on the line when he needs to.
As a guy who loves to gamble, but a guy who's not a NASCAR guy, give us a quick betting 101. How should we bet the Daytona 500?
Okay, so if you are not into racing and you're coming onto your book and you're looking at these odds for this race, you're sitting there thinking, yeah, I'm going to go stick to my 3-to-1s, my 2-to-1s. don't shy away from it just because it's long, because the longer the odds, the longer your money will be. When you're looking at NASCAR, it is a lot of factors of statistics, understanding where you're at right now in the present time, and understanding the race type. This is a perfect weekend for someone to get started if they're wanting to really change or transition into becoming a motorsports gambler, add that to their betting portfolio. And a lot of people would argue with me and say that, oh, this is the worst weekend. Like, this isn't anything good for statistics because it's so random. But there is a method to the madness. And it's funny because I just had a good friend of mine, Matt Stallnick. He was on my new show, Race Bets, where we talk about fantasy sports and we talk about gambling odds for racing, IndyCar and NASCAR. And he laid out a very good strategy for this race weekend. And what that really consists of is just like when you go to the roulette table at a casino, you're not just going to go and take everything and you might put it on black once or twice, but you want to spread those chips out across the board. So this weekend, this is the weekend where you go buy low and you can sell high. And that's what I see Daytona, Talladega, these super speedway races as. And all it takes is one race and one win for you to get in, and you're hooked. It is that much of an amazing sport, and it's fun to watch. There's a lot of action. So you end up coming for the long odds. You end up staying for the action. And that's what I have seen from a lot of people that I've interacted with that are inside of my community, turning football, baseball, basketball gamblers into NASCAR fans, not just NASCAR gamblers. That's the beauty of racing. That's the beauty of NASCAR specifically. And it's just a lot of fun when you get a group of guys or girls together and you're just laying it down, spreading the chips around the table. So I would just highly encourage anyone to try it. Understand it's not going to be like your typical stick and ball sport. There's not a lot of, maybe not as much safety, but the longer you watch, it's just like any other sport. You get used to the big players, you get used to the conditions, and you start to kind of get a rhythm and a feel for what to do and how to approach your race weekends.
All right. We'll ask you in a couple of minutes who's your pick. Chase Holden, Garage Guy Chase is how you follow him on X. He covers racing of all kinds, IndyCar, NASCAR for the Speed Street podcast. He's got a Race Bets podcast. He's part of Dale Jr.'s Dirty Mo Media, and he joins us here on Miller and Moulton. So NASCAR is talking out loud, and they say we may want to move the season-ending race all around and have racetracks, basically bid for it. How about this? How about start and end the year at Daytona? Seriously, the weather's spectacular early November. Also, it's such a wide open race. Okay. I mean, why not just start and end the year? The summer race at Daytona is hot as blank and it rains. I mean, why not just start and end the year at Daytona?
That is not a bad question at all, and I think that the main answer for that one right now is just because we have Talladega in the fall, and Talladega being that super speedway race that has kind of been a staple of the playoffs for so long.
Right.
I don't really see them moving it, and obviously, I mean, you're talking about championship races. I think I speak for almost every NASCAR fan when I say that we would like anything but Phoenix at this point. Now, not to say that Phoenix is a bad track. It's just that I'm a firm believer that you need variety, right? And that variety, the type of variety that Daytona offers you is a very wide variety. Just like Talladega, those two super speedway tracks are just incredible. I personally wouldn't mind seeing something like that instead of maybe going to Talladega in the fall. Why not switch it up and replace it with Daytona? Because if you want to keep that element of a super speedway in your playoff races, which I do think it's great to have that, because it does give, maybe a guy that's a really good driver that doesn't have that week to week consistency, but knows how to see the air, that gives them their shot to try to punch their ticket and go all the way. So I wouldn't mind maybe alternating the Talladega race in October with a Daytona, but I don't know if I could ever like see them actually sticking to that, just because of what Daytona means. And because, I mean, it literally is the Super Bowl of NASCAR. We're kicking off the season this weekend with it. I personally think that we should go 2 weeks like we used to in Daytona. I would love to see more fans have a longer time period in Daytona Beach and really get that historic feel back to what Daytona means to the sport.
All right. You got $5 left. Who's going to win the 500?
$5. Oh man, I don't know if that's enough for the odds that I'm going to be going for. I would definitely throw that $5 on a long shot though. One of those bets that I like this weekend, one of those drivers that's kind of that long shot guy for me. It's funny enough, I have really had Chase Briscoe in the back of my mind, and his odds are not going to be anywhere. They may change slightly, but usually with Daytona, we don't see a lot of odd shift. But I do like Chase Briscoe, even though he got the pole. That's an easy one. But aside from him, I feel like I can't say him anymore, and I kind of wish he wouldn't have got the pole because that was my guy. But I think it's going to work out one way or another. The other fellow that I like, if I have $5, I want a guy that's consistent. I want a guy that I know has the ability to finish strong. And for me, that's going to be Austin Dillon. He qualified 7th on Wednesday night at Daytona. So he is inside of that top 10. We're going to get to see him do his thing. And he just always finds a way to be there when it counts and when it matters, whether it be Daytona or Talladega. Definitely a lot better at Daytona. Over time, he's won at Daytona. He is a Daytona 500 winner. And I think that Austin Dillon is that go-to fella. If it really is down to the last Abe Lincoln in your pocket, you want to throw that on the 3.
Chase Holden, Race Bets, one of his podcasts, Speed Street, the Dirty Mo Media, Dale Jr.'s podcasting network. Follow him on X, Garage Guy Chase. Hey, thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your stay in Daytona, and hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Have a great one.
Chase Holden, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. So there you go. You got $5. He says put it on Austin Dillon.
But he likes Ross Chastain as a value. Plus money on Chastain for a top 10. By the way, I was checking as we were doing that interview. He's 25-1 on the Hard Rock app, but plus 125 to finish in the top 10 if you're looking just to make a little buck or two.
What, wasn't he running second on like the final lap or second to last lap last year? I mean, we remember when he was racing for a bad team and his car wasn't as fast and they had a bunch of wrecks. He finished 9th. And we're like, this is phenomenal. He said, yeah, I just rode in the back of the pack all day and waited for them all to crash out. Okay, but, you know, he races well there. It's his favorite track. You know,
it should be, obviously.
Right.
Because no one would pick Homestead to be their favorite track.
A lot better than it used to be.
Okay, yeah. But still no one's picking Homestead as their favorite track.
No, I know. I miss the season-ending thing not being at Homestead. I know. I mean, Florida in November seems like a pretty good place to be. I don't know about you.
Those Phoenix.
Yeah, true. So, all right, there we go. Got the duels tonight, and then, the 500 Sunday.
Duels always my favorite. Anytime that they have their body armor on as they're racing the car and allowed to attack the other car with swords, any type of duel like that, I'm down for.
Yep, just like Burr and Hamilton.
That's it, just like Burr and Hamilton.
They pull over on the backstretch, they get out of their car, and they duel. Muskets and everything. Unbelievable. Miller and Moulton. Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All righty. Did it surprise you, David, that there are only 16 people that vote on the Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was taken aback by that.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Thanks so much for being with us. Pat Kerwin will be on the show tomorrow. You miss any part of the show today, like John Forslund talking hockey, Chase Holden talking racing. Go to millerandmoulton.com and download what you missed. Our Swamp Buggy Races poll question yesterday was about racing. Today it's about hockey. It's basically the same question. Yesterday it was how much of the 500 are you going to watch? 52% of you said not a second. So, Mark, how's our hockey doing?
Our hockey is doing better than NASCAR, David.
Okay.
As much as I can, getting 40% of the vote. I'll watch the USA, getting 18% of the vote. And 42% of the vote going to none. It's hockey. It is still a battle. It is still within reach for I'll watch as much as I can to beat out none. It's hockey. Did have a couple of texters say, damn right I'm watching. Anytime the USA puts on that uniform, I'll watch. They could be playing marbles. I don't care. Another one.
Yeah.
Oh, another one said they're turned into a hockey fan. Got into the Panthers winning the cup, but not watching the Four Nations, which surprised me a bit.
Okay. Especially since there's so many Panthers that are in the Four Nations. It's just
right.
They got a lot of good players. So anyway, go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X, vote in our Swamp Buggy Races poll question. We'd appreciate it. So, Mark, in our imaginary world of when you and I would be running a professional team, and we have discussed such scenarios on the show, I think you've been willing to be even a little more hardline than me overall. Close. Sometimes, I get bent out of shape about something more than you. But I think if, we got 100 contracts that are coming up, I think you would be willing to go, no, I'm not going to renew this person or this contract. I think a little bit more than me. Is that fair?
Sure. I mean, I think it'd be pretty close because I think we each have our own individual quirks.
Right.
That is our line in the sand on certain things.
I want you to run the Chiefs for a second. So we all know what their needs are. They don't have a ton of money. They don't. Now, Mahomes can rework his contract, but he gets a massive raise this year. I mean, Mahomes has been playing on the cheap salary cap wise for a long time. I think Mahomes' cap hit this year is in the 60s. I mean, it's massive compared to what it's been. So they'll rework it as much as they can, but they've got, like 3 defensive starters that are up, and we know they need an extra wide out. We know they need an extra running back. They need 2 tackles. But they have pretty much said, Mark, that, and I don't know if you would adhere to this philosophy, and they could be bluffing, but they have said, our free agency is basically going to be the draft.
I will say at receiver, they get Rice back, providing that he's at 100%. I don't think it's as big of an area as need as others may.
So in theory, we don't know if they bring D-Hop back, if they bring Juju back. I mean, that they could then be 4 deep at receiver right there.
Right.
With Worthy being the speed threat and Rice being above average speed when healthy. Okay. So I'll grant you that. Okay, you're running the Chiefs now. You're the boss. I'm your assistant. And we started the meeting and you said, okay, what are the tough decisions we have to make? And finally, we get around to this one. Travis Kelce. He'll be 36 next year, Mark.
Right.
It's the final year of his contract. So, no reason to give him an extension and move money. He has a roster bonus due on March 14th. That's a month from tomorrow. Of $11.5 million. Now his base salary for next year is only $4.5, but you throw in the $11.5 million roster bonus on March 14th, and then another $1 million on the 5th day of training camp. So you're adding 12.5 to the 4.5. So if you keep him next year with other bonuses from down the road and workout bonuses, Travis Kelce's cap hit next year, Mark, is $19.8 million.
Wow. That's a pretty big number.
For a 36-year-old tight end who just got done averaging 7.5 yards a catch and 3 touchdowns in the regular season.
Here's the thing, though. Let me just ask you this question, because I don't know the answer, David, and I think you do. If Travis Kelce decides to retire, what's his cap hit?
$2.5 million. But I think he has to retire before March 14th. Now, take what he said on his own podcast with a pound of salt, but he basically said, I need some time away. I need to really think about things. Here's the problem, Mark. We're the Chiefs. I think we have to make a decision by March 14th.
100%. I don't know how you could think otherwise. I really don't.
Aren't we cutting him? Now, if he wants, no. And we take the $2.5 million cap hit. Aren't we cutting him before March 14th? And if he decides in May, June, he really wants to play another year, we'll bring him back. We'll sign him to a 1-year deal. But he's been used to making a certain amount of money. Like last year, Mark. He signed a 2-year deal before last season. His base salary was just under $6 million. Okay, he had $11 million roster bonus, $250,000, workout bonus. So, Travis Kelce was bringing home $18 million. this past season with the Chiefs. You know, he's used to making a certain amount of money here at the end of his career. You and I are going to cut him before March 14th. And if he decides, hey, I want to play, that's great. I would recommend, sure, I'll bring you back for another year. I'm going to pay you like $5 million, period. Maybe I'll throw in some incentives based on touchdowns or something. I mean, Travis, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Mark, I don't even know if he's their starting tight end next year.
He averaged 8.5 yards a catch, his lowest of his career. In fact, the only year of his career that he didn't average at least 10 yards per catch, which was 2 years ago. Before that, he averaged at least 12 yards a catch. So he averages 12.1 yards a catch for his career. He was at 8.5 last year. His receptions were still fine, 97 catches last year. That's a lot.
He didn't play the final game of the year. So that was in 16 games. So he's averaging 6 catches a game.
But he had his lowest touchdown total as well, 3. Now, a lot of that could be because the KC offense wasn't nearly as productive last year as it has been in the past.
You also, though, at least have to come to the conclusion he's just easier to cover now at this stage of his career, right?
Absolutely. David, in Kansas City, with this roster that most people think was exposed a little bit in the Super Bowl and definitely has needs, you're probably right that you should cut him from a financial standpoint. You are cutting a Hall of Famer.
I know that.
That is not a good look.
I'm aware of that. But our obligation is to the team. And, I mean, come on, Mark. Obviously, you know, if we're role playing here, we have great affection for Travis Kelce. He's been with the team as long as we've been with the team. He's one of the greatest players in franchise history, which is saying something, by the way, because if you look it up, the Chiefs have had some great players. And you could count him on the one hand of where he is on all-time Chiefs. But, Mark, come on. I mean, $11.5 million roster bonus on March 14th. A cap hit this year of almost $20 million if we keep him, versus cutting him and only having a cap hit of $2.5 million. I got $17 million I can play with here. Is Travis Kelce worth $17 million? Hell, is he worth $7?
He's worth $7.
Okay.
Anybody that catches 100 balls in a season is worth $7 million.
Are we okay? I will say Houston didn't cover him. They tried that approach in the playoff game. That didn't work well. Buffalo and Philadelphia covered him. He had 6 catches for 58 yards in those 2 games, 2 for 19 and 4 for 39. And we all know the 4 for 39 was all garbage time.
Correct. Although I think he gets a lot of grief for dropping 2 first quarter catches when the balls were at his feet and terribly thrown balls.
I was going to say, actually, the first one he should have caught over the middle of the field. The second one I thought was a horrible throw.
Horrible throw.
Yeah, I don't know why he's getting blamed for that. I think because he looked back at Mahomes and gave it the my bad, and I don't know if he needed to shorten up that route, button hook sooner or what. But anyway, we're running the Chiefs, and everybody listening, you're running the Chiefs. What are you doing? March 14th, an $11.5 million signing bonus. By the way, you can't then carve that up. You can't, make that cap friendly.
No, it's either pay the man or cut the man. Those are your choices.
And if you're going to give him $11.5 million on March 14th, you're going to give him $1 million in training camp on the 5th day of camp in July. So basically, if he's on the roster on March 14th, that's 12.5 on top of 4.5. That's a minimum. And then you throw in previous contract workings and he's $19.8 million against the cap versus $2.5 million if we cut him. I don't see this as a hard decision. Do you?
I see it as a lot harder decision as you. Financially, David, you're right. It's an easy decision. Emotionally, it's a tough one.
Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. American Paint Supplies. For nearly 30 years is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, ambient. There's the kid from Bowling Green who won the Mackey. There's the Miami kid. If you got him in the second round, I think it'd be a steal.
He may get into the back end of the first round because he impressed so much at the Senior Bowl.
So what tight end are you talking about? 30 years old. Bowling Green kid's not 30. I mean, in fact, the Bowling Green kid doesn't turn 21 till the beginning of training camp. No, not McCormick, the other Miami tight end. And McCormick will be 27 before the draft. Arroyo.
The Czechs, the Germans, the Swiss.
Yeah, that would get us to 8.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kerwin will join us tomorrow on the show. We could get more into this Kelsey conversation with him, have him put his GM hat on, which he loves to do since he used to be one.
If you miss any of the show, go to millerandmoulton.com or any of the places you download your podcast. I had to take down my annual takedown of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame earlier in the show today. I will say, what's that?
Why'd you have to take it down?
I always take down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because it's a joke.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you posted it and then you took it down. I'm like, why?
No. My annual takedown of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Whew.
Upon further review, though, I got a texter who said Bad Company definitely belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Kind of went through the bio. I did a little looking. I tend to agree with him.
Okay.
Lots of big hits. One of the first super groups. So I think there's some there with Bad Company.
So you're going Chubby Checker, Soundgarden, Bad Company.
Yeah.
Even though
others will get in, but that's my 3.
Right. Okay.
But one of the things we brought up on the show yesterday, and I think talked about it earlier this week as well, but it looks like they're set. I mean, it looks like the Jags, David, because they did several Zoom meetings this week.
Right.
And they're going to do several more Zoom meetings.
Uh-huh.
To hire their general manager. It's February the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me what the hell you guys are waiting for.
Well, not only that, help me out here. Aren't all the candidates basically like their head coach? Aren't they all people who have never been a general manager before? They're a bunch of assistant GMs. Because I think that's the totally wrong approach for the Jags to go. Totally. And the only way I would recommend the Jags, if they're like this one assistant GM somewhere that they're just love, they're like, I think this guy's going to be terrific. I'm like, well, then we have to hire someone who's been a GM to sit next to him and hold his hand. Okay. We keep hiring people who haven't done this job before. We need to get, I like what the Raiders did with Pete Carroll. I like the fact they hired a proven commodity we need to get good again before we can get great again. We need to be consistently competitive. That's the first thing.
We need to be adults, David, as we like to say on this show.
Yes.
And the Jaguars are running their team like children.
Yes. Yeah.
How do they expect to have any continuity? First-year head coach, first-year GM, and Baselli, who's in his first year as an executive. No one's done it before. How are they expecting to get a turnaround quickly with what they've hired?
Now, Detroit hired Brad Holmes, who had been, by the way, the assistant GM with the Rams, and there were many a draft pick that he was credited with. The Rams have been great, by the way, about giving assistant coaches and front office people their credit. All right. And they are an organization that really promotes their people to get hired elsewhere. I give them a lot of credit for that. Because if you go back to the 2017-18 Rams front office and assistant coach, I mean, my goodness, did McVay and their GM there, Les Snead, put together just a phenomenal coaching staff and front office. And they have been systematically plucked, and they're fine with it. In fact, they promote their guys publicly. They're like, I don't know why this guy's still here. He should be a coach, or, you should really hire this guy. But, see, Detroit did, Mark, what virtually no one's been able to do. Spielman had never been in that role before. Holmes had technically never been in that chair before. Campbell had not been given the real shot to be a head coach. He'd been an interim twice. And they seemingly have hit on all three. It was kind of like when the Niners brought in John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan together. And they just said, we just think this is going to work. And it did.
But more often than not, it doesn't.
Well, especially since they're not bringing in this guy together.
What power does the GM even have in Jacksonville? He didn't hire the coach. They have a VP of football operations that's obviously his boss. He won't have much to do with this draft because he's relying on old scouts. So what is the function of the general manager in Jacksonville, David?
And it strongly indicates that the new head coach has a lot of power. Why? No, I mean it. No, I mean, he was part of McVay's staff with the Rams, highly thought of. I remember when he went to go do 1 year as OC at Kentucky. All right. And people were like, we got this genius here as offense scorer. He's going to make a big difference. And he did.
Wasn't that Levis's junior year?
When he had the big year and people thought he was a first-round quarterback. Right. Mm-hmm. And then he comes back to the NFL. We know what he did last year with Tampa, but still, never been a head coach before. And we're giving this guy all the power. I mean, McVay wasn't given all the power. And it's tough to find a boy wonder who was more highly thought of in the last 10 years than Sean McVay. But McVay had to answer to a front office. I mean, there are guys out there who I think are good personnel guys. Now, I don't know if their time has come and gone to be a general manager. I think Phil Savage is a very good personnel guy. Now, I know Browns fans are going to give me a hard time. You didn't win because you didn't have a quarterback. But Savage drafted a lot of good players. Savage then went and ran the Senior Bowl for a long time. He's been the assistant GM with the Jets, with Joe Douglas for the last few years. Whatever happened to John Dorsey? Dorsey's the guy who took Baker #1 and then followed it up with the corner at 4. I mean, why can't John Dorsey be a GM again? I'd certainly at least want him if I'm going to hire. Like, Mark, there's an assistant GM with the Giants that I wanted them to fire Joe Shane and promote. But I then wanted them to go get an experienced personnel guy to, hey, Brandon, I'd like to introduce you to so-and-so. He sat in your chair before. It's different. It's like moving over one spot in the basketball court from lead assistant to head coach. It's different. I'm giving you a guy who's been in your shoes and made plenty of mistakes, okay, for you to bounce stuff off of.
And Brandon Bean, right? You're talking about the AGM.
Is it Bean or Brown?
Brown.
Okay, the Giants.
He's one of the guys listed. He's one of the guys that interviewed for the Jags job, by the way.
Well, and I would love to, if I'm Jacksonville, I got no problems hiring him, but I got to bring in a John Dorsey, a Phil Savage. I got to bring in a personnel guy to just be a sounding board. Like, I actually like what the Jets did. The Jets brought in Rick Spielman to be the, just guy to talk things over with for this first-time GM. I like Rick Spielman's been a GM of 3 other teams. 2 of them he did a good job for. I think that's a smart hire.
Wasn't Rick on the hiring committee for the Jets?
Well, that's a whole other thing.
I mean, I do find that to be fascinating in and of itself. I know where you're going with that, but I mean, he was on the search committee to hire the coach and then got the job as a personnel guy. It just...
As the assistant, though. I mean, it wasn't Dick Cheney running the vice presidential search and then becoming the vice president.
I got you.
It was a step to the right. It was close. It was. He's part of the cabinet. There's no question about it. He's part of the cabinet. When we do the Photoshop of, the president sitting around the desk, he's in every photo op. There's no question about it.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. Sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Super 70 Sports put out a poll question.
Okay.
It just says, why not? The Silence of the Lambs, Patrick Ewing, White Castle, darts. I love it. So apparently on ESPN, what night did they have the Lakers game on? Monday night, David.
Luca.
So they had a 7:00 college hoop game, a 9:00 college hoop game, and then the Lakers at 11, or is that how it worked? However it worked. But I obviously wasn't up. They switched the college game while still going to news to basically show warm-ups of the Laker game.
Right.
Now I'm seeing that.
Did you see the ratings, though?
No.
Luca's debut did big numbers.
Really?
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing they have Houston, Arizona at 1 p.m. Saturday, followed by Alabama, Auburn at 3. David, Houston and Arizona are not going to be done by 3 o'clock. So the number 1 versus number 2 matchup in college basketball more than likely will begin and play its first 10 minutes or so on ESPN News.
They'll try to hold the tip. What's after the second game?
I don't know. I don't know.
$2.5 million, by the way.
Really? For a 10 or 11 o'clock tip or whatever it was?
Against the
10:30
Jazz.
tip?
Against the Jazz, 10:30. Okay, it peaked at 2.5. It did a little over 2. The average game that they would run in that slot would do a little over $1 million.
I got you. They did show warm-ups instead of a game. That's the.
Oh yeah, no. But you know they're all in on the association.
Yep, I get it.
Warm up. That is so. It's so ESPN. See, it's why I really shouldn't do the end of the year meeting.
David, just play the game. Can you play the game for 10 minutes?
Mark, if I could play the game, okay, I wouldn't be in Conway, Arkansas doing play-by-play tonight, okay? I mean, let's be brutally honest if I could play the game. Mark, if you would have played the game in the first 20 years of your career, would you be co-hosting a show with some Yahoo like me? No, you would not.
No, I'd probably be in the NHL.
Yes, you would.
Because I had the chops to do the play-by-play. I did.
And the voice. Yep.
What an idiot.
Both of us.
Morons.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 till we're done yapping. Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow at the very least on Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, please vote. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on X, Miller_Moulton on X. Hockey, Four Nations face-off. Real simple. How much are you watching? As much as I can, only when Team USA plays, or it's hockey. I don't watch hockey.
60% of you are watching hockey.
Wow. You know, the tide turned when we brought Forslund on an hour and a half ago.
It continued to turn, though, when we had Chase on talking NASCAR, which I was surprised by.
maybe people just decided hockey's better than racing. So, anyway.
But nearly 39% of you are watching as much as you can. 40% of you are at none. It's hockey. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton to vote.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1693 we start today, David. The College of William and Mary opens in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Do you remember Lou Holtz's?
That's why I put it on there.
Lou Holtz's banquet line. I was the head coach at William and Mary, and let me tell you something. Mary needed to be giving William a lot more help.
The first U.S. state university opens today in 1795. It was the University of North Carolina.
Be one of the newest members of the Big Ten by the end of the decade.
Maybe they'll make the tournament again. 1861, Abraham Lincoln declared the U.S. president in Washington, D.C. Jesse James robs his first bank, coming away with $15,000 from the Clay County Savings Association in Liberty, Missouri, today in 1866. 1937, the Boston Redskins receive approval from the NFL to move to Washington, D.C.
By the way, the Commanders owner, Josh Harris, came out and said the Redskins' name's not coming back. There were hot and heavy rumors that the Redskins' name was coming back. He did come out in the last couple of weeks and say the name's not coming back. Now, he didn't say anything about the logo, but he said the name's not coming back.
Today in 1976, at the age of 19, Dorothy Hamill wins the free skate to clinch her gold medal at Innsbruck. It was a BFD. She was.
The haircut.
Yes.
The women around the nation for a year got the Dorothy Hamill haircut, which, if you look at it now, is horrendous.
It was 1976. What can I tell you?
But for whatever reason, and I think it was because we had gone through our long hair phase for a while, and all of a sudden Dorothy Hamill, basically, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a bowl haircut with a little hair that came down on the sides, but still pretty much stopped at the base of your ear.
Yeah, and I think curled underneath, if I remember right.
Right. And that was it. And oh my goodness. The Hamill Camel, that's how she ended. She was known as,
yes,
all the spins and the Hamill Camel, and then the haircut.
It didn't happen yet, but it was today in 1980 that the Winter Games opened in Lake Placid. Today in 2000, the final Peanuts comic strip appears in newspapers one day after Charles M. Schulz died. Would be like us taping a show after we kick the bucket and have one more show.
Well, Sid Hartman, the legendary Twin Cities columnist,
right,
died on like a Friday night, Saturday morning, and what have you, and his Sunday column ran because he had submitted it. At 100 years of age, by the way.
And in 2022, Super Bowl 56 was played in Inglewood. The Rams beat the Bengals 23-20. Patty Berg, Chuck Yeager, Jerry Springer, and Sal Bando would have all celebrated birthdays today. Mike Krzyzewski is 78. Peter Gabriel is 75. Singer Harry Rollins is 64. Matt Sundin is 54, and Randy Moss is 48. What did I miss, David?
Oh, it's nice with everything that he's gone through.
Yep.
Moss.
Thinking the same thing. Absolutely.
One of the more historic battles, it was sad that we had to go there, but we bombed the hell out of Dresden today in 45.
What, 22,000 died, I thought I read?
Yeah, they even estimate now 25,000. This was, the 3 leaders there had just left Yalta.
Right.
So it was kind of like, so are we doing this? Yeah, we're doing this. Okay, we're doing this. And it was considered like the most beautiful city of Germany, too. Like it was, besides the killing of 25,000 people, emotionally to the Germans, it was like, oh my goodness, you destroyed Dresden? So anyway, pretty historic battle. Not much of a battle.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Nebraska for the good. I found this story amusing. I hope you do too. Kim Doggett had gotten back from Costco, and she ran out of room in the fridge. It's Nebraska. It's winter. So she took the chocolate mousse cake that she had and put it out in the backyard on the table they had in their outdoor area. A little bit later, she made peanut butter balls and had her son take the peanut butter balls outside to cool. He discovered a possum was curled up on the outdoor sectional, which was covered in chocolate paw prints. The cake had been knocked off the table, and the possum downed the entire cake. The possum was not moving, looked a little distressed. She called the Humane Society to get this thing checked out because, chocolate's toxic to dogs. She figured it might be toxic to the possum. Animal control took the possum, rehabilitated it, will be released back into the wild, and survived the entire chocolate mousse cake. I'd be curled up in an ottoman if I had an entire chocolate mousse cake. For the bad, we go to Naples, where Brandon Kasorik is going to spend a little time in jail. He was about to be pulled over for a broken taillight. That's when he sped away from Collier County sheriffs and threw something out of his car into a residential street.
Boy, I wonder what that could have been.
231 grams of Peruvian marching powder.
Wow. I mean, I knew it was going to be something, but I didn't think that.
Yeah, that's a lot, for those of you wondering. It's basically a pound of cocaine. He was a gangbanger, so he's going to be off the streets now, and he is in the Naples jail. And finally, the ugly. Oh, I love this story. You may not, David. I think our audience will. During an argument, her ex threatened to call police. It was at that point that Julissa Negron, the 50-year-old woman, pulled out a dildo and started beating her ex with it.
Wow.
He managed to call 911. When police arrived, he warned them that she was naked inside and would flash the officers. She stunk of booze when police came in the house and was arrested on a misdemeanor battery count. No word on whether police confiscated the alleged weapon as evidence. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Thursday, February the 13th. Brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. Go to capecops.com. Still a $10,000 bonus sign-on for new officers. All information about the jobs can be found at capecops.com.
7 o'clock tonight, 4-letter network. United States, Finland. 4 nations face-off in Montreal. I'm going to warn you right now, they're going to boo our anthem.
You want to get into this tournament? You want to find somebody to hate? Watch tonight. USA Canada Saturday. Get the hate going then.
Yep. And
They
whatever
are going to do the anthem. Guarantee it. Write it down. Book it.
and whatever the volume of booing is tonight, double it Saturday night, because we'll have the audacity of playing the Canadians. So now I was just corrected and told it was 8 o'clock. I looked it up and it said 7. Oh, well, then again, I'm in the Central Time Zone. Moron. Oh, man. I'd like to think I'd account for that. So 8 o'clock tonight, ESPN. I will say, I don't know if the pregame will be as exorbitant as last night. They didn't drop the puck till after 8:20 last night. I don't know how much of the pregame you watched, Mark. Did you see who got the biggest ovation?
Mario Lemieux, right?
Uh-huh. Yep. I will say I had a buddy of mine who was watching on TNT and texted me and said, wow, this must be a big deal. Gretzky's on the set. NBA, I think it's the final night before the All-Star break.
Yes, it is.
And there's 5 games. The 7:30 TNT game is Oklahoma City against the Timberwolves. Actually, a couple of interesting matchups tonight. Golden State's in Houston. The Heat, by the way, are in Dallas.
And David, you're still on Central Time. Oklahoma City and the T-Wolves is at 8:30.
That's right, because I'm looking
I'm
at it.
just trying to help you out.
Oh, man.
Conway, Arkansas.
Hello. Maybe I can get this right. Anyway, we have one system play tonight. 9 o'clock ESPN2. We have not won this year on a system play against the Memphis Tigers. They have been destroying their AAC opponents on the road, no matter how many points they have to give them. South Florida's 12-12. They're getting 7.5 tonight. It would not surprise me if that goes up. And that becomes 8.5 at tip. But right now, the play is South Florida at home getting 7.5 against Memphis, 9 o'clock ESPN2.
There is one game that looked as if it could be a play. Maryland's on the road. 25th ranked Maryland is on the road in Nebraska, but Nebraska is a 1.5-point favorite in that game. Not trusting Maryland at all, who's been playing pretty damn good basketball for the last 3 weeks.
Well, but remember, we pointed out last night. I mean, who was hotter in the Big East than St. John's? They were only a 1.5-point favorite at Villanova last night. We're like, Vegas is telling you Nova's going to win. Mark, who won?
Nova.
Yeah. Big night in the A-Sun tonight. FGCU, 8 o'clock tonight if you want to watch on ESPN+. They're against Austin P. North Florida's in North Alabama. FGCU, North Alabama, 2 of the 4 teams that are tied for first. Jacksonville, where I am, taking on Central Arkansas. 7:30 Eastern.
FGCU, a 4.5-point favorite. JU, a 9.5-point favorite. Last time David Moulton made an A-Sun parlay bet, it blew up.
FGCU crushed me. I got the other parts of it right with JU and North Florida, but FGCU did me wrong. Come on, Eagles.
They did. So that's a little college basketball for you. USA and Finland in the 4 nations. The final NBA games before their All-Star break.
I think the All-Star break's in Frisco, too. Golden State's hosting, I think.
So we'll have basically nothing tomorrow. No NBA, no 4 nations. Usually a bad night of college basketball, but we'll do our best to make it a football Friday for you. Pat Kerwin will join the show tomorrow. Have a great Thursday.
Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton